A prankster's life. A boy with bright blonde hair, clad in a blue shirt and orange shorts, pressed himself into the shadows. He moved with a practiced stealth, determined to evade the adults searching for him. His latest stunt? A complete makeover of the Hokage monument, turning the stone faces into a canvas of makeup and outlandish hairstyles, effectively giving them a rather flamboyant new look. Just another ordinary day in the life of Uzumaki Naruto. He cautiously peered from his hiding spot, noting that the pursuing shinobi had vanished. A foxy grin spread across his face, then, with a soft pop, he was gone. A lone shinobi, trailing behind the main pursuit, heard the faint sound and decided to investigate. The dark alley yielded nothing but a solitary black cat dozing atop a weathered dumpster. A night in. Naruto materialized in his living room with another distinct pop, letting out a deep sigh of relief. To soothe his frayed nerves, he headed to the kitchen. Pulling out a cup of instant ramen, he poured hot water from a thermos, then settled at the table, patiently waiting for his simple meal to cook. Quite the prank you pulled, Kit. You should have seen their faces when they spotted their beloved Hokage sporting all that makeup and those ridiculous hairdos, a voice echoed in his mind, followed by a hearty, barking laugh. Naruto chuckled in response. Believe it. Besides, those old geezers could use a new look anyway, especially Hokage, he thought back haughtily, savoring a mouthful of the delectable noodles. So, that disappearing trick of yours is really coming along. Have you tried anything else with it? The voice inquired, a hint of curiosity. Naruto shook his head, slurping more ramen. Nah, not yet. Ever since it happened, I've only practiced the vanishing act, he replied, finishing the broth. He heard a sigh from the voice within. How many times do I have to tell you? It's teleportation, the voice corrected him, sounding exasperated. Naruto just rolled his eyes. They'd been bickering about the name of the technique for a month now. Yeah, Kyuubi. Fine. Teleportation it is, from now on. And to answer your question, no, I haven't experimented with anything besides teleportation, Naruto responded, a touch annoyed. The people of Konohagakure no Sato would have been utterly shocked to discover that Naruto was having a casual conversation with his tenant, the Kyuubi no Kitsune. The breakthrough. It was a freak accident that led to their meeting. Naruto had passed out in a deserted alley after outrunning an Umbu squad. His prank that night? Covertly painting the Hyuga clan's underwear bright orange in the dead of night, a serious blow to a clan that prided itself on its all-seeing eyes. Of course, everyone knew it was him. His reputation as a mischievous prankster, coupled with the glaring orange, was a dead giveaway. He didn't bother denying it, he just ran. He met Kyuubi in his mindscape after hitting his head on a brick wall during a misjudged jump. There, he learned about his furry inhabitant, who explained how the Yondaime Hokage had sealed him away and how the seal prevented his escape. It took a considerable amount of time to explain everything, as the boy initially ranted and raved about the fox being inside his stomach, which he believed was the reason villagers treated him so poorly. Eventually, they struck a deal. Naruto would grant Kyuubi access to the outside world through his senses, and in return, Kyuubi would guide him toward becoming a powerful shinobi. Kyuubi warned him that his techniques were unconventional, primarily focusing on chakra manipulation with only a few standard shinobi techniques to teach. Naruto simply shrugged and accepted the offer. He stumbled upon his teleportation ability by pure accident. A furious mob had cornered him in an alley after he'd pranked a merchant's shop, painting the entire establishment pink. He'd thought it was a lovely, bright color, but the owner clearly disagreed. Overwhelmed with fear as the mob, armed with various sharp objects, closed in, he vanished with a loud pop. His desperate wish to be somewhere safe had transported him instantly to the top of the Hokage monument, leaving him bewildered as to how he got there. Naruto and Kyuubi then brainstormed what had happened, developing various theories about the boy's sudden teleportation. Naruto, ever confident, simply claimed he was awesome that way. The fox, however, delved deep into the boy's genetics to find a plausible explanation. After some time, Kyuubi discovered that the seal and his presence within Naruto had altered his genetics, causing his chakra to become unique and incredibly potent. While still the same chakra used by other shinobi, it now contained an added ingredient that enabled teleportation. And, as Kyuubi confidently stated, if he was right, which he usually was, Naruto could achieve other remarkable feats if he dedicated time to experimentation. It took a week of diligent practice to master the teleportation, appearing and disappearing throughout his apartment. He couldn't eliminate the accompanying sound, but he knew beggars couldn't be choosers. You know, Kit, if you can truly harness this ability of yours, you'll become an incredibly powerful shinobi one day. Seriously, disappearing from one place to another without any restrictions? You could achieve anything you set your mind to. If I recall correctly, you were simply wishing to be somewhere safe when that mob cornered you. Your unique chakra responded by teleporting you to the Hokage monument. Imagine what else you could do if you truly focused your will, Kyuubi explained, using his most persuasive tone. He didn't want the boy to squander his potential. So, what do you think I should try first, Q? Naruto mused, a flicker of excitement igniting at the thought of becoming a powerful shinobi with his unique ability. Not much yet. From what I can tell, you willed yourself to a safe place, which happened to be the Hokage Monument since you spend a lot of time there. If you can properly harness your will, you might be able to do other things. But for now, there might be something in the Konoha library that could help you get started. So, you might want to hit the books first. What? No way. I am not going to read. It's so boring, he whined in his most childish voice, which wasn't hard given he was still only 6. Besides, it's not like I'm welcome there anyway. I tried once because Gigi suggested I read something before the academy, but the old geezer at the library wouldn't let me in. Kuwabai silently cursed the idiocy of humans. Living in a shinobi village, they should understand seals or at least consult an expert. But no, they chose to ignore it and simply blame the boy because of the fox's presence. An idea then struck Kuwabai. Why don't you disguise yourself, Kit? Disguise myself? How? I don't exactly have money for a decent disguise, he complained, thinking of the meager allowance the Hokage provided to orphans living alone. He barely had enough for necessities, as village shops routinely overcharged him. The only place he could eat in peace at a fair price was Ichiraku Ramen, where the Hokage occasionally treated him. That's where I come in. I can teach you how to access your chakra, then instruct you on the Henge no Jutsu, transformation technique, so you can go into the library anytime you want. Besides, the old geezer guarding the library isn't a shinobi, so you don't have to worry about him dispelling your disguise. Excited by the prospect of learning his very first ninja technique, he immediately agreed. With another loud pop, he vanished, reappearing in the forest clearing behind the Hokage monument to practice in peace. Mastering the basics. It took a month for Naruto to successfully access his chakra. Once he did, Kuwabai immediately began teaching him the Henge no Jutsu. The fox first guided him on how to calm himself and locate the chakra source within his body. It was a lengthy process, but when he finally succeeded, Naruto was stunned. He possessed such an immense amount of chakra that even Kuwabai was astonished. His tenant informed him that his chakra reserves were 5 times larger than an average genin, causing Naruto to jump around in excitement, shouting that he'd be incredibly powerful someday. Kuwabai quickly reined him in, explaining that while vast chakra reserves were excellent, his control would be terrible because of it. This sparked an hour-long debate between the two concerning control versus raw power. Naturally, Kuwabai won with a logical explanation that easily trumped Naruto's arguments. After the debate, which Naruto lost, Kuwabai meticulously taught him the various steps to control his massive chakra reserves before attempting any jutsu. Of course, Naruto whined through the entire process, but he instantly fell silent when Kuwabai threatened to withhold all future techniques if he didn't gain control over his chakra. The rest of the month was dedicated to achieving even minimal control over his vast reserves. Naruto began with the basic leaf-sticking exercise, which took him a week to master, a feat that would typically take an academy student only a day or two. Another week was focused on tree walking, an exercise Naruto found particularly thrilling. The idea of walking on walls and trees was utterly amazing to him. Kuwabai took all this in stride, finding it quite amusing whenever his container was blasted off a tree like a rocket after using too much chakra during the exercise. Infiltrating the library. Naruto left his apartment, ready to embark on his first true mission, infiltrating the Konoha library. He had already mastered the Henge no Jutsu, finding it surprisingly easy, much to the fox's surprise. Again, Naruto boasted that he was simply awesome that way, but the fox quickly deflated his burgeoning ego, pointing out that his ease with the jutsu was likely due to Kuwabai's influence. After all, foxes were natural shapeshifters, and that trait might have passed to Naruto after the sealing. Naruto grumbled, and Kuwabai responded with a smug look that spoke volumes. Naruto ducked into an alley behind the Konoha library and applied his disguise. He emerged with messy black hair and light green, almost jade, eyes. His signature whiskers were gone, as they would immediately give him away. He also subtly altered his facial structure, making it more angular than his usual rounded face. He kept his clothes and build the same, as further changes weren't necessary. He nervously entered the library, half expecting the old man guarding the entrance to eject him. To his surprise, the man merely smiled, remarking that it was wonderful to see children starting to read at an early age. After telling the disguised Naruto to ask for help if needed, he waved him inside, wishing him to have fun. Naruto and Kuwabai inwardly shared a laugh at how easily they had fooled the old fossil. Naruto found himself in a vast room, its walls lined with bookshelves crammed with scrolls and books. He knew the Konoha library was split into 2 sections, the civilian section, where he currently was, and the shinobi section on the 2nd floor. Anyone could access the civilian section, but a leaf headband was required to enter the more informative shinobi section, which housed regulated information deemed too dangerous for the untrained. Naruto also knew that highly sensitive information was hidden away in a heavily guarded room within the Hokage Tower, protected by Umbu around the clock. Despite his initial plans to raid the shinobi scrolls and books, his intentions were thwarted for now by a Chunin standing guard by the stairs. He cursed his luck but decided to proceed with the overall plan. Unsure where to begin, he consulted the brains of the mission. So, what do you think I should look for first, Q? Naruto asked his tenant, scanning the labels on the shelves. He was in the history section, surrounded by ancient-looking scrolls and books. I'm not really sure. This caused Naruto to smack his forehead. Hey, it's my first time in this library, so I don't know exactly what we're looking for. However, the best place to start is to find any information on bloodline limits. Our goal is to find a bloodline similar to yours, if one exists. Fine. I think those books are in the next row. Let me check. Naruto grumbled about annoying, know-it-all foxes. He moved to the adjacent row, checking titles as he walked. He stopped at a book titled Bloodline Lexicon of the Elemental Countries. This looks like a good starting point. What do you think? He asked, opening the book to see the various bloodlines categorized by their village of origin. He felt Kyuubi reading along with him. Yep. Start reading, the fox ordered. Naruto rolled his eyes but complied. 2 hours later, Naruto's eyes were watering, and Kyuubi was ranting in his head about how slow this was going. Stop, Kit. We're not getting anywhere like this. At this pace, we won't be able to experiment with your abilities until you have gray hairs. I have a plan. I want you to return to our clearing in the forest. I'm going to teach you something we can use to speed up our research. Unwilling to argue with an irritable fox, Naruto replaced the book and, with a loud pop, teleported back to his chakra practice clearing in the forest. The ultimate research tool. So, what do you want to teach me? Naruto asked excitedly. Kyuubi rolled his eyes at his container's childish antics. I noticed back there that reading one book at a time was taking too long, so we need reinforcements. I know one technique that can drastically speed up the process. It's called the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Technique. I believe it's classified as a Kinjutsu here in Konoha. My first container used it extensively back then, so I know how it's done. What's so unique about this jutsu? I mean, it's just a clone, right? Naruto asked, confused about how a clone technique could help their research. It's not your usual clone, Kit. It's classified as a forbidden technique for a reason. For one, it requires a shitload of chakra to use, but you've got that covered with your current reserves, and with me inside you, there's nothing to worry about. Next, once dispelled, the memories and experience of the clones are transmitted back to the original. So, you'll learn what they learn and feel what they feel. It's also the ultimate training jutsu that only those with sufficiently high chakra reserves can utilize. We can infiltrate the library at night using your teleportation, as we need to access the shinobi library, not just the civilian one. We'll make a lot of clones and have them read different books. I'll sort through the memories myself to avoid damaging your brain and keep you updated if I find any information related to your abilities. Interested? Hell yeah, Q. Let's get started. Kyuubi demonstrated the hand seal for the technique and instructed him on the precise amount of chakra to use. It took him 2 hours to get it right, mainly because Kyuubi tasked him with experimenting with chakra usage to ensure the clones were adequately powered and wouldn't dispel prematurely. By the end of the practice session, Naruto could effortlessly create 100 clones that could last for 4 hours. Kyuubi instructed him to rest, as he had used a significant portion of his reserves practicing the jutsu. Kyuubi conveniently omitted that Naruto could have used his chakra for the technique but didn't want to alert the village patrols, as his chakra was so potent that even civilians could sense it. Naruto, completely exhausted, didn't argue. He simply teleported to his apartment, collapsed onto his bed, and immediately fell asleep. Night of research. Naruto was roused around midnight by an excited Kyuubi, eager to begin their infiltration mission. After devouring 5 cups of instant ramen, Naruto changed into darker clothes, a black shirt and blue pants, to ensure he could easily hide if needed. With his preparations complete, he visualized the library's interior, focusing on a spot he'd memorized earlier behind a large bookcase, far from the entrance, to muffle the sound of his arrival. He vanished from his apartment with a loud pop. Naruto immediately crouched upon appearing in the library, aware that the sound of his teleportation might alert any nearby guards. As planned, Kyuubi temporarily took over Naruto's senses, with his permission, and swept the alley and surrounding area. He gave Naruto the all-clear when he detected nothing unusual. They had the library to themselves for the night. Alright, Kit. No one's around. Make 100 of your clones, just as we practiced, then tell them to read different books for our research. Now, hop to it, Kyuubi ordered. Naruto rolled his eyes at the rather silly command. Really, Q, hop to it. I'm not a rabbit, you know, Naruto deadpanned. He swore he felt Kyuubi blush. Shut up. You're too young to complain, Kit. I'm more mature than you, Kyuubi retorted defensively. This made Naruto grin. Sure, but you're right. You're definitely the more mature one. In fact, you're older than dirt, Naruto said with a wider grin. This provoked a rant from the fox about kids respecting their elders, causing Naruto to clutch his head in pain. Fine. "Shut up, will you, so we can get started," the boy spat, which finally silenced his tenant. After a mumbled apology from Kyuubi, Naruto summoned 100 clones and instructed them to scour books for answers or clues about his abilities. He sent 10 clones to the civilian section, while he and the rest ascended to the shinobi section. The clones saluted and dispersed. Naruto himself chose a book titled Chakra for Dummies, then sat on the floor and read well into the night. Naruto teleported back to his apartment an hour before the library opened to the public, sporting a throbbing headache. He and Kyuubi hadn't found anything directly related to his unique abilities, but he could now confidently brag in the Shinobi Academy that he was well versed in the history of the elemental nations, various bloodline limits, shinobi mythologies, chakra theories, and even some classical literature. He still hadn't figured out why some of his clones had been reading romance novels. He trudged over to his sparse kitchen, filled a pot with water, and set it on the stove to boil. His stomach was rumbling. Reading, even while sitting, had drained a lot of energy. That was a useless night, Naruto complained, rubbing his aching temples. He wished he never had to hold another book, but he knew that meager wish wouldn't come true. "Stop complaining, Kit. There are thousands of books and scrolls in that library. You can't expect to find something about your abilities overnight. We'll do this again tonight, so you might want to rest up. We're going to start early to give us more time to go through the materials there," Kyuubi said in a somber voice. He, too, was dejected by their lack of findings, but he knew they still had a long way to go to uncover what they needed about his container's abilities. "Fine. You're right. But at least we got something out of it," Naruto grumbled, but a small smile crept onto his face. "Reading can actually be fun, especially when you find something that interests you," he concluded, remembering how engrossed he'd been in his book about different chakras and their uses in the shinobi field. Kyuubi's sage-like voice filled Naruto's mind. "Indeed, Kit. Being a ninja isn't just about flashy jutsu, blurring speeds, or powerful punches. A true shinobi requires knowledge. After all, muscles without a guiding brain are useless. So, even though we haven't uncovered your specific abilities yet, you're still learning what it means to be a shinobi of the leaf." Naruto nodded thoughtfully. "You know," Naruto mused, pouring boiling water into 4 cups of ramen instead of just focusing on my abilities, "what if we started my training early? I could begin learning taijutsu and other shinobi-related skills. We could alternate between training and research, since I still have 2 years before the academy." Kyuubi's excited nod confirmed his agreement. "That's a great idea, Kit. We'll start next week since it's already Wednesday. I want you to focus on research until Saturday, rest on Sunday, and then we'll alternate training and research. How does that sound?" Kyuubi asked, already envisioning a rigorous training regimen for his host. After all, it was only fitting for the strongest of the tailed beasts to have an equally strong container. "Gotcha. Now, let me eat in peace so I can head to bed. We've got a long night ahead." Naruto devoured his ramen, eager for sleep. A year of growth, age 7. A year had passed since Naruto began his nightly excursions to the Konoha library, making it his personal training ground. He devoured every book he could find, all while continuing his research into his mysterious abilities. While no concrete facts emerged, Kyuubi theorized that Naruto's powers were unique, perhaps the first of their kind in the elemental nations. This excited Naruto greatly. It seemed similar to a bloodline, but without evidence, they couldn't confirm anything further. Throughout that year of intensive reading and research, Naruto achieved 2 significant breakthroughs. First, he mastered the art of meditation. Kyuubi explained that Naruto's abilities seemed intrinsically linked to his mind, citing Naruto's first accidental teleportation as an example. To prepare Naruto for future experimentation, Kyuubi instructed him to find books on meditation to enhance his mental control. So, while his clones diligently read and researched, Naruto practiced meditation under Kyuubi's unwavering guidance. It took a week for Naruto to truly relax his muscles, a challenge given his naturally high energy levels. The effort was immense, but the benefits were undeniable. His initial gain from meditation was enhanced focus. He could now effortlessly shift his concentration. His comprehension and vocabulary soared, eliminating the need to reread books for understanding. He even discovered he possessed a photographic memory, which Kyuubi assured him was a natural consequence of accessing his mindscape through the seal. He could now hold conversations with his clones while reading without missing a beat. The second benefit was an accidental discovery: his chakra system. When he delved deep into his mind or entered a profound meditative state, he could sense the intricate network of chakra within his body. Kyuubi congratulated him on this feat, explaining that such a skill was typically associated with Jounin or even Sunin-level shinobi. With this newfound awareness, he rapidly gained superior chakra control, mastering the water walking exercise in a single day. This, much to Kyuubi's amusement, spoiled his plans of watching Naruto stumble and fall. Second, Naruto finally discovered his ninja niche, sealing. He stumbled upon a text about Fuin Jutsu and found himself utterly captivated. The first text he devoured was Basic Seals for Dummies by Jiraiya, the Toad Sage. Unlike other books, or those read by his clones, he found himself effortlessly comprehending the intricate formations and creation of seals. It was as if sealing was in his very blood, a theory Kyuubi attributed to the powerful seal on his stomach. Naruto promptly dismissed this theory, giving the fox a look that clearly communicated, "Are you serious?" He immediately put simple seals to use in his apartment. He applied a durability seal to his clothes, protecting them from the rigors of his training. He also implemented basic security seals, like a locking seal that required his chakra to unlock his door and windows. To further fortify his home, he added durability seals to the walls, preventing any unwanted intrusions from the usual mob. He even successfully applied a heating seal to his shoriad, allowing him to enjoy abundant hot showers despite his landlord's attempts to cut off the supply. He briefly considered experimenting with exploding seals, a Chunin-level basic technique, after reading about them. However, Kyuubi quickly shot down the idea, citing Naruto's insufficient knowledge and the catastrophic consequences of a misstep, which could obliterate them both. Thankfully, Naruto was sufficiently scared to postpone the idea. He was also fortunate enough to discover a taijutsu training manual by Mado Guy, detailing body development for aspiring shinobi. The title, Taijutsu for the Youth, Stoke Your Flames of Youth to Become Strong, left much to be desired, prompting Kyuubi to comment on the author's eccentricity or questionable sanity. Naruto, however, chose to believe it was the former. Despite its peculiar title, the book was straightforward and effective. It explained the fundamental principles of developing one's body for enhanced speed and power, crucial for taijutsu. Mado Guy also clarified that the Konoha Academy's taijutsu style served as a basic foundation, encouraging students to develop their own styles or adopt existing ones through muscle memory. It was presented as a flexible base that could be adapted to various combat approaches. The book also detailed exercise routines using training weights, readily available at Konoha shinobi stores, to improve speed and strength. The very next day, Naruto, in his favorite disguise, purchased a set of chakra weights for his arms and legs. It was a significant dent in his savings, costing him half of his accumulated funds, but the investment was worthwhile. These specialized weights could be adjusted through chakra application to engraved seals. After acquiring the weights, he immediately sought out a secluded alley and teleported to his private clearing. He affixed the weights to his limbs and channeled a small amount of chakra. His excellent chakra control proved fortunate, otherwise, he would have face-planted. His initial attempt set each weight to 5 kilograms, nearly dislocating his arms. He carefully reduced the chakra output until he achieved the recommended 20 pounds per weight for beginners. He didn't immediately jump into taijutsu styles but instead dedicated himself to various exercises and stretches, including laps, push UPS, pull UPS, and sit UPS. He returned home that afternoon with his entire body aching, but Kyuubi assured him that accelerated healing would have him feeling brand new by morning. Further revelations, age 8, 2 months before Academy. Naruto sat in the library, engrossed in a sealing book by Namikaze Minato. Having completed Jiraiya's initial 2 sealing texts, he was now tackling the next recommended stage, the Namikaze Compendium on the Sealing Arts. It was at this point that he unearthed yet another facet of his unique bloodline. He was deep into the first volume of the compendium when he cursed aloud. The text referenced Jiraiya's book on gravity seals for a crucial diagram, which was conspicuously absent from the Namikaze set. Damn it! Why couldn't he just include the diagram in his own book instead of referencing Jiraiya's, he grumbled. What was that, Kit? Kyuubi asked, momentarily distracted from sorting through memories from dispelled clones. I need to find another of Jiraiya's sealing books, the one about gravity seals. This book doesn't have the diagram, and finding it here is like looking for a needle in a haystack, Naruto complained, stomping towards the sealing section. No use complaining now. Just look for it, Kyuubi said absently, returning to the clone memories. Fine, Naruto muttered, scanning the shelves filled with books and scrolls on seals. An hour later, Naruto was fuming. He desperately wanted to understand gravity seals. The book explained they trained the body by adding resistance, unlike conventional weights. He silently cursed, mentally repeating the book's title as he scoured the shelves. He didn't notice the book flying towards him from a distant shelf until it struck the side of his head, sending him sprawling in a daze. What in the hell was that? Naruto shouted, rubbing the rapidly forming lump on his head. I don't know, but there was a surge in your chakra coils right before you got hit. What hit you anyway? Kyuubi inquired, examining Naruto's coils for anomalies while subconsciously directing healing chakra to the bump, making it vanish almost instantly. How should I know? I was just checking the shelves for Jiraiya's book before something smacked me, he grumbled. He stood up, noticing a book lying directly in front of him. There it was, Jiraiya's book on gravity seals. What in the world is that book doing there? It wasn't there before, he demanded, pointing at it as if it could explain its sudden appearance. Don't know. But it's there now, so why are you complaining? Kyuubi said in a monotone, though a flicker of excitement danced within him. He chose not to reveal it to Naruto, not wanting to prematurely raise his hopes. Doesn't it seem strange to you, he asked his tenant, picking up the surprisingly heavy book. No wonder his head hurt, it was a massive tome dedicated solely to gravity seals. I know this book wasn't on this shelf, or even in this section, and judging by how it hit me, it must have come from over there. He gestured towards a group of his clones in the same aisle. Hey guys, did one of you throw this book at me? He shouted, waving the book. One clone shook his head, returning to his reading. No, boss. None of us did. We were busy reading, he said disinterestedly, while the others nodded, their eyes glued to their respective books. Naruto's sweat dropped. When had his clones become so focused, so cold? Kyubai's ears perked up. He replayed the memory of Naruto searching for Jiraiya's book, focusing on every detail. It seemed his container had been concentrating on a specific book just before the impact. So it must be. Kit, I want you to try something for me, Kyuubi requested, his voice laced with uncharacteristic excitement. What is it, Q? Naruto asked mentally, confused by his tenant's sudden enthusiasm. See that book your clone is reading? Naruto nodded. Good. I want you to focus on it and call it to you. Naruto gave the fox a look that spoke volumes. Are you smoking something in there? Naruto deadpanned. If you are, I suggest you get rid of it. This earned him a growl from his tenant. Shut up and just do it. I need to prove something before we move on. Fine. Just shut up so I can concentrate, stupid fox, Naruto grumbled. He focused intently on the book his clone was reading, mentally urging it towards him. After 5 minutes of fruitless concentration, he tried a new tactic. He noted the book's title and refocused. This time, the book slipped from the clone's hands, clattering to the floor. The clone stared at it as if it were an alien object. Both Naruto and Kyuubi were stunned. Naruto tried again, pouring all his concentration into the task. He vividly visualized the book, title and all, flying towards him. He felt a surge of chakra, and then the book launched from the floor, where the clone was about to retrieve it, directly into his hands. He barely managed to catch the literary projectile before it could hit him again. What in the world was that? Naruto shouted, attracting the attention of every clone in the library. Hey boss. I wasn't done with that, whined the clone who'd lost the book, while the others alternately stared at the book in Naruto's hand and the complaining clone. Shut up. Instead of worrying about that book, you should be worrying about how I got it in the first place, Naruto yelled, his voice a mixture of awe and excitement. Kyuubi, any idea what happened? I do. It seems we've found a key to your abilities, Kit. Key? What do you mean? Naruto asked. I've finally figured out how your abilities work, Kit. While you were concentrating, I was focusing on your unique power. It seems your bloodline reacts to a combination of focus, intent, and visualization. You focused on the book, but it didn't move. Then you tried again, using the title. Still no direct movement, but you got a result. But when you visualized the book coming to you, it did. It's similar to how you teleported for the first time. You were thinking about the Hokage monument then, and you subconsciously channeled your chakra, teleporting yourself there. You usually think of a place and will yourself there, and your chakra automatically follows your desire. Kyuubi explained. Again, what does it mean? What's the difference when you say I willed it to happen? An exasperated Naruto asked. Kyuubi rolled his eyes at his container's denseness, despite his increased knowledge. It's simple. Your abilities require 3 things to function. You need to focus on what you want to happen, then you visualize what you want to happen, and finally, you will your chakra to make it happen. Try it now so we can prove this theory. Kyuubi explained as patiently as he could, eager to begin the experimentation. Excited to try it, Naruto scanned the library for an object to experiment on. He spotted a genjutsu book he'd discarded earlier and focused on it. He visualized the book floating 2 feet above the desk, directing his chakra towards it. His heart pounded as the book indeed rose 2 feet, but it wobbled and fell back onto the table when he lost concentration. Wow, Q! It worked, Naruto exclaimed, trying again. He focused on the book, which once more lifted off the desk, much to the surprise of his clones. Wow, boss! How did you do that? One clone shouted. Come on, boss, teach us, another clone demanded. The library erupted with the clamor of Naruto's clones demanding an explanation, until Naruto, thoroughly annoyed, dispelled them all. This resulted in a slight migraine due to the sudden influx of memories. Okay, that stings. Mental note, don't dispel that many clones at once. Ouch. What the hell? One of my clones read some porn in here. He rubbed his head, wincing at the pain and cursing as a line from a smutty book entered his memory. Well, you were getting a headache from their shouting, so it was worth it, Kyuubi said with amusement, though he was intrigued by the memory of the clone reading adult material. Shut up, Q. So, what do we do now? Naruto asked, sinking into a chair to alleviate the throbbing in his head. You have 2 options, Kit. You can continue reading and practicing your new skill, or you can go back to your apartment and rest. From the looks of it, the ability you just demonstrated took a lot of chakra to perform, similar to your first teleportation. I think I understand how your ability works, so I'll devise a training program for you. I suggest you go home, rest up, and we can get started tomorrow. Okay, Q. That's a good idea, Naruto agreed, teleporting directly to his bed in his apartment to sleep. Mastering new skills, the final 2 months. The 2 months leading up to the academy entrance were dedicated to mastering his newfound abilities. He still sent a dozen clones to the library for research, as the full extent of his powers remained unknown. He was particularly shocked one night when his clones vanished with a pop, realizing they also possessed his unique skill. Kuwabai theorized that since shadow clones were exact duplicates, it was logical they shared the original's abilities, provided they had sufficient chakra. This accelerated the training program Kuwabai designed for Naruto, with the invaluable assistance of his clones. Every day for the next 2 months, Naruto and his clones practiced levitating various objects in the clearing. Kuwabai informed him that this ability was akin to telekinesis, a concept they'd read about in a library book. The fox allowed Naruto to practice until he could subconsciously levitate any object, maintain its suspension, and manipulate it at will. Naruto found immense joy in making rocks of all shapes and sizes float around him. He even played catch with his clones using only telekinesis, which, despite the surrounding destruction, was incredibly fun. Kuwabai also revealed that Naruto's abilities were only limited by his imagination. This revelation came when Naruto accidentally created a bed, an exact replica of his lumpy apartment bed, during a training break. This prompted a revision of the training program, with some clones assigned to create random objects out of thin air. One clone attempted a different tactic, transforming an object into another, a rock into a chair, and sat on it with a smug expression until another clone reversed the transformation, causing the smug clone to hit the ground and dispel. After 2 months of rigorous training, Naruto possessed a solid understanding of his abilities. He had honed teleportation into an art, capable of executing it silently. Kuwabai had observed that Naruto was initially overcharging the technique with chakra, causing the excess to dissipate as a loud popping sound. Naruto experimented until he used only the necessary chakra for a seamless execution. The next skill he mastered was creation, the ability to conjure any non-living object from nothing. He delighted in fashioning new clothes in various designs, filling his once bare closet to overflowing, prompting him to create a larger one. He noticed his creations didn't vanish after observing them for a week, but Kuwabai advised him to keep an eye on his created clothes, just in case. After all, he wouldn't want his attire to suddenly disappear while walking through the bustling streets of Konoha. Thanks to his new skill, Naruto's apartment was now a fully furnished bachelor's pad, complete with pristine and remarkably comfortable furniture. He had scoured Konoha's furniture shops under a henge disguise, memorizing designs to perfectly duplicate them. His favorite creation was a 4-poster queen-sized bed, complete with soft pillows, sheets, and blankets. Even Kuwabai found himself drooling at the thought of such luxury. Unveiling new powers. Naruto's latest breakthrough in his training regimen was transformation. Unlike creation, which allowed him to conjure things from nothing, transformation enabled him to morph one object into another. He found this ability particularly entertaining, discovering he could even transform living beings into different creatures or inanimate objects. During one memorable session, a clone playfully turned a harmless rabbit into a colossal white tiger, leading to a frantic chase through the woods that greatly amused Kuwabai. However, Naruto soon realized that his transformation ability wasn't permanent. The tiger, for instance, reverted to its original rabbit form after about an hour. Much to Naruto's irritation, the rabbit seemed to wear a smug expression, clearly enjoying having terrorized them. Annoyed by its perceived cheekiness, Naruto impulsively unleashed an explosive burst of chakra, obliterating the spot where the rabbit had stood, leaving behind a small crater 3 feet in both diameter and depth. Fortunately, the rabbit had swiftly hopped away the moment Naruto moved his hands, narrowly escaping certain doom. A wide grin spread across Naruto's face as he then enthusiastically proceeded to cause multiple explosions throughout the clearing, much to the envy of his clones. To quell their insistent demands for similar explosive fun, he created and then immediately dispelled another clone. The dispersed memories shared the explosive knowledge, and soon, more blasts followed, expanding the clearing significantly and providing ample felled wood for further transformation practice. Both Naruto and Kuwabai also noticed a crucial limitation: he couldn't transform or create anything he wasn't familiar with. This became evident when he attempted to create a real kunai, but, due to his limited knowledge of metals, and his extensive familiarity with plastic ramen cups, inadvertently produced a plastic one. This realization prompted Naruto to dispatch a dozen clones, disguised as civilians, to extensively research chemistry and various metals. Kuwabai further instructed him to assign more clones to their nighttime research efforts, focusing on gathering basic information from the civilian section of the library. Physical prowess and a new name. Once Naruto had a firm grasp of his nascent abilities, Kuwabai advised him to let his clones continue experimenting and discovering more about his powers while he, the original, intensified his physical training. His current weights now weighed 50 pounds each, bringing his total carry weight to 200 pounds. 2 years of rigorous exercise had yielded impressive results. At 8 years old, he was now a rather tall 4 feet 0 inches, and his body was completely devoid of fat thanks to his demanding regimen. While not overtly muscular, the contours of developing muscles and ABS were discernible upon closer inspection. Despite the positive outcomes of his physical training, Naruto frequently grumbled about it cutting into his fun time practicing his abilities. However, Kyuubi quickly silenced his complaints by reminding him that his powers would be useless if his enemies could catch him before he could utilize them. This practical advice spurred Naruto to focus on enhancing his speed and strength, which, in turn, further increased his chakra reserves, allowing him to sustain his abilities for longer periods. A significant breakthrough occurred when he finally discovered a name for his unique bloodline. The revelation itself was quite amusing. One of his clones became engrossed in a fantasy novel featuring individuals with magical powers akin to what he could achieve in reality. Both Naruto and Kyuubi immediately recognized the potential for further experimentation. They promptly created a new batch of clones to scour the library for similar books. The duo practically salivated at the prospect of unlocking elemental abilities like throwing fireballs, conjuring ice attacks, summoning lightning, or drowning foes in torrents of water through his bloodline. Ultimately, inspired by the fantasy books that broadened his understanding of his potential, they decided to name Naruto's unique ability Chakra Magic. Unseen Discovery. 5 days before the academy began, Naruto was practicing conjuring fire with his chakra magic. His initial attempts were somewhat chaotic. He accidentally unleashed a roaring inferno that nearly engulfed the entire forest. Thankfully, he managed to avert disaster by levitating water from a nearby stream and dousing the flames before they could spread. Unfortunately for him, this dramatic display did not go unnoticed. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage, was attempting to rest his weary body after enduring hours of the cage's bane paperwork. He rose from his desk and approached the window overlooking the Hokage monument. As he relaxed his eyes, he spotted smoke billowing from the forest behind the mountain and immediately became alert. Knowing the south side of the mountain was uninhabited, a fire there was a deeply concerning development. He promptly summoned his personal Umbu, Nico and Inu, dispatching them to the scene with orders to bring back whoever caused the fire for questioning. Unaware of the impending visitors, Naruto remained engrossed in his efforts to create fire from nothing. His initial accident had taught him to temper the amount of chakra he used, so he now began with small bursts to avoid another forest fire. He was moderately successful, producing a marble-sized flame that floated before him. He gradually fed it more chakra, watching it expand until it reached the size of his head. Grinning, he propelled the fireball with a burst of telekinesis towards a tree, setting its trunk ablaze. Unknown to him, Nico and Inu were perched in the trees behind him, observing his abilities. "What in the world did that kid do?" whispered Nico, her voice laced with astonishment. "No idea. But whatever it was cool. I didn't detect any seals, but I definitely sensed chakra being used to create that jutsu." "Wait, he's doing it again," Inu remarked as Naruto conjured another head-sized fireball and hurled it at the same tree, obliterating a section of its bark into ash. With astonishing speed, a grinning Naruto then conjured 5 identical fireballs, which hovered around him in midair. He flung his right arm out, pointing towards the tree. As if on command, the 5 fireballs streaked through the air and struck the same spot, causing the bark to explode and the tree to topple into the forest. Deciding they had witnessed enough, Nico and Inu leaped down from the trees behind Naruto. "Uzumaki Naruto, the Hokage wishes to see you in his office immediately," Inu stated. Naruto spun around, looking like a deer caught in headlights. What?" Naruto stammered, caught red-handed with his abilities. "Hokage-sama observed smoke emanating from the forest behind the Hokage monument and dispatched us to investigate and retrieve the cause. We witnessed your abilities, so it's only logical that you were responsible," Nico explained. "Kyuubi, what should I do?" Naruto mentally yelled to his tenant. "There's nothing we can do, Kit. You're caught. We can't exactly modify their memories, so it's best to come clean and tell your Jiji about it," Kyuubi responded, completely unfazed, having already predicted this scenario, though not quite so soon. But Naruto tried to concoct a plausible excuse to conceal his powers but came up empty. "All right. Besides, I trust Hokage Jiji anyway, so maybe he can help me with this." He looked at the Umbu before him and offered a foxy grin. "Is Jiji in his office right now?" he asked. Inu chuckled at the boy's informal address for the Hokage. "Yes, Naruto, he is. We should get going, it's a long way to the Hokage Tower from here," Nico said. Naruto grinned. "Okay, Nico-chan. See you there then." With that, Naruto vanished from the clearing without a sound, leaving the 2 Umbu gaping in astonishment. Naruto silently reappeared in the Hokage's office, noting that his Jiji was currently gazing out the window towards the Hokage monument. "Hey, Jiji. You called for me?" he asked the Hokage, who was startled by his unannounced entry. "Naruto, how did you enter the office? I didn't even sense you open the door," the Hokage exclaimed. "Besides, why are you here anyway?" Naruto gave him a long, deadpan look. Well, your Tuambu called for me while I was practicing in my clearing behind the Hokage monument, so here I am, he replied. You mean the smoke coming from the forest was you? The Hokage asked with curiosity. Naruto nodded happily. Yep. I've been practicing with my bloodline since I discovered it 2 years ago. Naruto, you don't have a bloodline, the Hokage said, giving Naruto a long, skeptical look. Of course, I do, he retorted as if insulted. To demonstrate, he waved his hand towards the Hokage, instantly transforming the Hokage robes into a pink bunny outfit. See? That's my bloodline. He grinned at the sight of the powerful Hokage in a ridiculous bunny costume. The Hokage was about to speak when Inu and Nico materialized in the room, panting. Hokage-sama. Naruto ha. Inu and Nico were met with a sight that would be etched in their memories forever. Before them stood the Hokage, clad in a pink bunny costume, with a smirking Naruto in front of him. Both Umbu collapsed to the floor, convulsing with laughter. Oh, my God, make it stop, Nico gasped between fits of laughter, while Inu was utterly speechless, rolling on the floor in hysterics. Blushing in embarrassment, Sarutobi released a touch of his killer intent, instantly freezing both Umbu and halting their laughter. He fixed his grinning surrogate grandson with a look that clearly conveyed, fix this, or else. Smiling sheepishly, Naruto waved his hand again towards the Hokage, reversing the transformation and restoring his Hokage robes to their original state, prompting a sigh of relief from Konoha's leader. Naruto, sit down. Inu, Nico, report, Sarutobi commanded his now composed Umbu, though his eye twitched slightly when Inu let out a snort of laughter, which he quickly masked with a cough. Hokage-sama. As you commanded, we immediately proceeded to the smoke's location and discovered Naruto-san displaying abilities that bewildered both me and Nico. He was creating fire from nothing but his chakra, without any seals. He generated fireballs from thin air and effortlessly obliterated a tree. Based on the burns in the clearing, I would conclude he was responsible for the earlier fire and subsequent smoke. Inu formally reported his findings. Additionally, Naruto-kun vanished when I informed him you were in the tower awaiting him. It wasn't Shunshin or any known speed technique. He simply disappeared. We immediately ran back as fast as possible to ascertain if he indeed went to you as requested, Nico concluded, to which the Hokage nodded. Excellent work, both of you. You may leave us now. I wish to speak with Naruto-kun alone, he commanded his personal Umbu, who departed without a word. He promptly erected a privacy barrier to ensure their uninterrupted discussion. He settled into his chair and looked at his grinning surrogate grandson. So, Naruto-kun, anything you'd like to tell me about this bloodline of yours? Naruto nodded, as he and Kyuubi had already decided to come clean since they had been discovered. It's a long story, Jiji, so make sure you have plenty of time for this, Naruto stated. Don't worry, Naruto-kun. For you, I always make time, the Hokage replied with a smile, which Naruto returned. Okay, Jiji, it all started 2 years ago when I was running from a mob after a prank. I accidentally hit my head and passed out. That's when I met Q, Naruto began his story. Kyuubi. I met him when I accidentally entered my mindscape after passing out. What? You met the Kyuubi? Don't be fooled by him, Naruto, the Hokage warned, having planned to tell Naruto about his tenant when he graduated from the academy. This plan was clearly now in disarray. You have nothing to worry about, Jiji. In fact, he's telling me to ask if you want to talk to him, as he has a lot of explaining to do. Wait a minute, Naruto. What do you mean Kyuubi wants to talk to me? How can he do that when he's stuck inside the seal? I think it would be best if he explained it to you, since I don't know the technicalities, Naruto said. Sarutobi was about to stop him, but it was too late. Naruto's eyes glazed over, and his usual blue was replaced with red, slit-like pupils. Greetings, Hokage. Naruto's voice shifted to a deep baritone, indicating Kyuubi was in control. Kyuubi, how can you control Naruto? The seal was designed to prevent such a thing, the Hokage gasped. Kyuubi Naruto simply rolled his eyes. Do relax, Hokage-sama. I cannot do this without Naruto's explicit permission. This is part of the deal we made when we met 2 years ago, Kyuubi explained, making himself comfortable in the chair. Deal? What deal? After explaining to the kid what happened when I attacked the village and got sealed inside him, we made a mutually beneficial agreement. The deal is quite simple, there's no way for me to escape the seal since the Shinigami ensured our souls were tied together. So, if Naruto dies, I die. If I escape, we both die. Not something I particularly desire, Kyuubi said with a frown. So you mean to say that Naruto is currently inside his mind right now, with complete control over his body? Yes. Right now, he's on a very comfortable chair facing a large monitor that reflects his eyes, allowing me to see the outside world through him. He's currently laughing at you. Sarutobi's sweat dropped at his surrogate grandson's antics. Only Naruto would find it amusing when he himself was terrified out of his wits facing the strongest Baijuyu in person. Fine. So Naruto can just take control back if he wanted to? Yep. He can, but he's currently telling me to explain everything to you. Lazy brat, the fox growled, causing Naruto to laugh even harder in the mindscape. Shut up, brat. Don't make me come in there and bite you. Regaining his composure, Sarutobi relaxed, knowing that Naruto wouldn't let Kyuubi harm him. So, what do you want to tell me? First, I want to clarify what happened when I attacked Konoha. I didn't initiate the attack. To be honest, I was forced. I find that hard to believe, Kyuubi, Sarutobi said, giving the fox-possessed boy a disbelieving look. Then let me ask you this, oh wise one, out of all Konoha's history, how many times did I attack of my own free will? Well, none. My first appearance in Konoha was during the battle between Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama. Believe me, that wasn't my doing. I was summoned by the damned Uchiha, who controlled me with his evolved Sharingan, forcing me to attack the first Hokage in the Valley of the End. That led to me being sealed inside his wife, Uzumaki Nito, the very first Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune, me. Before she died, I was transferred to another Uzumaki named Kushina, who was the wife of the fourth Hokage, Namikaze Minato. This revelation shocked Naruto. Kyuubi, are you telling me that the fourth Hokage sealed you inside me? And he was my dad? Why didn't you tell me? Naruto growled, temporarily regaining control of his body and blurting it out unintentionally, which made the third Hokage pale. Damn it, Kit. Shut up for a second, will you? I have a reason why I didn't tell you about it initially, and I will explain it properly to the Hokage, so quiet down and calm yourself, Kyuubi snarled back, which surprised the Hokage, solidifying his belief that Naruto could reclaim control of his body whenever he deemed it necessary. Deciding to nip this potential disaster in the bud before the two destroyed the tower, given the energy Naruto was releasing due to his anger. Naruto-kun, please let Kyuubi finish his explanation. You will be told everything, so please, let Kyuubi finish, Sarutobi pleaded, hoping to reason with his surrogate grandson. Fine, old man, but I want to be told everything, Naruto growled, causing Sarutobi to nod. Naruto's blue eyes immediately turned red, signifying that Kyuubi was back in control. Damn, the kid sure is angry right now. So, where was I? Kyuubi asked, almost causing the Hokage to palm his face in annoyance. You were telling me that you were sealed into the fourth Hokage's wife, he supplied helpfully, which Kyuubi acknowledged with a nod. Thanks. Let me see. Kushina was an excellent container, to say the least. We had similar conversations to what Naruto and I are doing right now, but they were somewhat muted as the seal was quite different. Anyway, during Kushina's pregnancy, the seal weakened because most of her power was focused on childbirth. If I recall correctly from my time inside, you and the fourth Hokage were powering the seal to keep me contained, correct? This earned a nod from Sarutobi. When Naruto was born, you left afterward, so you didn't witness Uchiha Madara attack Kushina, with the fourth Hokage unable to intervene as he was using Naruto as a shield. With his power, Madara yanked me out of the seal, causing me to reappear outside Konoha. While I was disoriented from the release, Madara placed a powerful genjutsu on me, forcing me into a rampage, again. I think you already know what happened afterward. I was sealed again into Naruto. But this time, the seal was more powerful and complex due to the Shinigami's interference. The seal tied Naruto and my soul together, forming a bond. I cannot do anything to Naruto without his express consent, and he can use my chakra at will. However, my chakra has a negative effect on humans due to incompatibility. Using too much of my power before he is ready will cause him to go berserk. I see. Many questions have been answered by your explanation. Now tell me about this deal you made with Naruto-kun. The deal is straightforward. By granting me access to the outside world through his senses, I will allow him safe control over my chakra, managing it from the inside so he won't go berserk and limiting it to what he can handle, though I doubt he'll need much of it considering the abilities he possesses because of his bloodline. Anyway, the deal allows me to see, feel, hear, and smell the outside world through Naruto. In turn, I will teach him what I know so he will become a formidable shinobi in the future. Interesting. Both parties benefit equally from the deal to the fullest extent of their abilities. Now tell me, regarding Naruto-kun's outburst earlier, why didn't you tell him about his parents? He asked curiously, wanting to understand the demon's reasoning. Simple. Naruto wasn't ready to handle it yet. Shut up, Naruto, let me finish. Anyway, if I had told him about his parents 2 years ago, he would have undoubtedly shouted or blurted it out carelessly, as he wasn't mentally or emotionally prepared back then. From my experience with Kushina, I understand that the fourth Hokage made many enemies, especially Iwa and Kumo. If they discovered through their spies or rumors that the fourth Hokage's son was alive, Naruto would be inundated with assassination attempts. I can easily heal his injuries, but even my powers cannot protect him from death. I understand. That's similar to my reasons for withholding information from you, Naruto-kun. I enacted an S-class secret law after the sealing, punishable by death if not followed, which prohibits anyone from mentioning that you are the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki to the younger generation, to give you a chance to make friends. I know the older generation would never view you as a normal citizen of Kana, so I created that law to ensure the younger generation would grant you an opportunity to forge bonds of friendship and trust. As an added insurance for your safety, I withheld information regarding your parentage to protect you from your father and mother's enemies." The room fell silent as Naruto, still in his mindscape, processed the revelations. He grudgingly conceded that Kuwabai and his Jiji were right to keep it a secret. If his mind hadn't been properly trained through the research, studies, and meditation he'd undergone for the past 2 years, he was certain he wouldn't have possessed the necessary maturity to maintain the secret for his own safety. He reclaimed control of his body, evident as his eyes returned to their familiar blue hue. He took a deep breath to calm himself, then looked at his surrogate grandfather with a smile. "No sweat, Jiji. Thanks for helping me understand. You and Kuwabai were right. I wouldn't have been able to keep it a secret, and that would have compromised my safety. So thank you again," Naruto said softly, though the Hokage easily discerned the sincerity behind the blonde's declaration. "No problem, Naruto-kun. I always have your best interests at heart, despite the fact that some of my decisions may have hurt you in the past. Now, please tell me how you managed to make me the laughingstock in front of my Umbu bodyguards," he said with a glint in his eyes that made both Naruto and Kuwabai gulp. My bloodline," Naruto stammered, silently cursing his tenant. The fox had retreated deep into his seal, seeking refuge from the inevitable interrogation. "Traitor," he seethed internally. "Every fox for himself, Kit. Good luck." Kuwabai's serene voice echoed in his mind before the mental link severed. The sudden silence was deafening, confirming the fox's inaccessible retreat. Naruto muttered more curses under his breath. Unaware of the internal struggle between the tailed beast and its container, Sarutobi fixed Naruto with a piercing glare, pinning him to his seat. "I know it's a bloodline, Naruto-kun. You made that perfectly clear when you turned my robes into a pink rabbit. What I want to know is how you did it." His ominous tone sent a shiver down Naruto's spine. Jiji, have you ever heard of magic?" a nervous Naruto ventured. Sarutobi stared at him as if he'd gone mad but answered nonetheless. "No, Naruto-kun. There's no such thing as magic. Magic belongs in the realm of fantasy, not reality," the Hokage stated, as if lecturing a child. "Well, the best way to explain is to start at the beginning." Naruto recounted the incident where he discovered his ability to teleport and his subsequent discussion with Kuwabai regarding the unique properties of his chakra. He explained Kuwabai's theory: his chakra allowed him to bend reality to his will, enabling feats impossible for ordinary shinobi. He then detailed his nighttime research at the Konoha library, a revelation that surprised the Hokage, given the absence of intrusion reports for the past 2 years. The blonde also described how he could conjure a book out of thin air, even without knowing its location. After Kuwabai helped him discover the key to his abilities, he began a training regimen under the fox's guidance to explore the extent of his bloodline and unlock new ways to harness it. Finally, Naruto explained that his abilities seemed akin to how magicians, wizards, mages, and sorcerers practiced in fantasy books, leading him to emulate them. He enthusiastically revealed the name of his unique bloodline limit, chakra magic, which caused the old leader to sweat drop at the childish moniker. Sarutobi began rubbing his temples, a migraine brewing from Naruto's explanation of his seemingly impossible abilities. "So, let me get this straight, Naruto. You can teleport anywhere you've been before. You can move objects with your mind. You can create things from nothing. You can transform objects into living beings, like the white tiger you made in the forest that chased you. And finally, you can perform elemental attacks without hand seals. Oh, and let's not forget Kuwabai taught you Kage Bunshin, having learned it from Mito-sama. Did I miss anything?" Naruto shook his head. "You got it right, Jiji, though I'm pretty sure there's more to my bloodline, since Kuwabai told me my only limit is my imagination," Naruto affirmed, confirming the Hokage's partial list of abilities. The Hokage, however, eyed Naruto with a look of clear disbelief. "You don't believe me, do you?" Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow. The Hokage shook his head. "I find it unbelievable, Naruto-kun. Powers like that don't exist. New bloodlines don't just appear out of nowhere," Sarutobi said in a solemn voice. Naruto remained silent, instead offering the Hokage a grin that sent shivers down his aged spine. "Are you sure, Jiji?" he asked, rubbing his hands together in anticipation. Despite his better judgment, Sarutobi answered in a way that sealed his fate. "Yes. I'm sure you're just making things up." Naruto instantly teleported from his chair to appear directly in front of the door, ensuring the old Hokage couldn't escape his demonstration. "All right, Jiji. Since you put it that way, I have no choice. I must demonstrate the capabilities of Konoha's wizard in action," he declared loudly, waving a hand towards the window, transforming it into jail bars to prevent any escape. Gathering chakra for his grand performance, he visualized his desired outcome, then unleashed it all in a single, powerful surge. The Hokage's robes morphed into the pink bunny costume, this time adorned with rainbow patterns. His desk transformed into a white tiger with black stripes, snarling at the old man. The signed paperwork fluttered into a variety of birds, flapping chaotically around the room. The Hokage chair became a luxurious manager's chair. As an added touch, he transmuted the paperweight into a busted blonde with exaggerated proportions, who began giving the old man a massage, causing him to blush furiously. Finally, Naruto waved his hand across the room, turning the Hokage's office into a children's playground. He then turned to the stunned and blushing Hokage. "So, what do you think, Jiji?" Convinced. As an extra flourish, he conjured 5 balls of fire that orbited his body, looking quite menacing. Sarutobi was aghast at the drastic transformation of his office. He flared his chakra, releasing it in a wave to disrupt what he assumed was an illusion. To his dismay, everything remained real. "What the? These are all real," Sarutobi stammered. Naruto grinned. "That's right, Jiji. All real. So, do you believe me now?" Sarutobi slumped back into his chair, secretly enjoying the ministrations of the blonde girl behind him. "Fine. You win, Naruto-kun. I acknowledge the existence of your chakra magic. Now, please turn my office back to normal," he requested in a defeated, yet wispy voice, as the massage was doing wonders for his aching muscles. Naruto nodded and waved his hand around the room, reversing the changes. The Hokage groaned softly, having genuinely enjoyed the chair and the massage. "So, Jiji, what do you think?" Naruto asked, settling back into his chair with a wide grin. Sarutobi gave him a speculative look. "What are your plans, Naruto-kun? You'll be attending the academy in 5 days, the Hokage inquired. "You're not thinking of quitting, are you?" Naruto shook his head, giving the old man an incredulous look. "No, I still plan to be a ninja, so I'll be attending class." "You already have my admittance papers, right?" "I was planning on visiting you the day before classes start to finalize things," Naruto replied. Sarutobi nodded and carefully shuffled through the stacks of paperwork on his desk before pulling one out and handing it to the blonde, who happily accepted the document. "That's your admittance form for the Shinobi Academy. Just hand that to your teacher when you attend your first class. It's in room 201. You can't miss it," he instructed. Naruto was about to leave, but Sarutobi stopped him with a raised hand. "Before you leave, there are a few things we need to discuss regarding your bloodline. As mandated by the Konoha Charter, those possessing a bloodline are automatically eligible for clan head status. I'm sorry to say it's required that I register your abilities." This caused Naruto to frown. He had no intention of revealing his abilities, not yet. Can you give me a few days to think things through, Jiji? I want to discuss it with Kyuubi first, as I'm not sure I've mastered all my abilities yet. I mean, it wouldn't be a good idea to reveal my bloodline when we don't know everything about it, right?" Naruto asked the Hokage, who nodded in agreement, recognizing it as a sound idea. "That's a good idea, Naruto-kun. There's no rush, as only I know the extent of your bloodline, and I'm sure Nico and Inu won't be telling anyone about it without my explicit permission. Just be sure to tell me your decision so I can prepare the necessary paperwork. Regarding your clan head status, you're still a minor until you graduate from the academy, so there's no rush there," the Hokage stated. "Clan heads are required to be of Chunin rank, so that's still years away." Naruto nodded. "Sure thing, Jiji. Well, is there anything else before I leave? I really need to get back to training, since I won't have enough time when I attend the academy next week," he asked, itching to return to the clearing to hone his elemental control with Kyuubi. Sarutobi looked apprehensive about the request but couldn't deny that he needed it. No, he wanted it. Can you change my chair back? I mean, it's really comfortable," the aged leader said with as much dignity as he could muster, though a slight whine crept into his voice. Naruto chuckled and waved his hand, changing the Hokage's wooden chair back into the manager's chair, adding a new feature he'd read about in a furniture catalog during a visit to the merchant's district. "There," the boy said happily. "Just so you know, I added a massage feature to the chair. All you need to do is apply chakra to it, and it will give you a nice massage. Bye, Jiji," he finished cheerfully, teleporting out of the room, leaving a very happy Hokage behind who later frowned as he remembered something. "Damn, I should have asked him to bring the girl back. Oh well. Can't have everything, I guess," he mused, enjoying the chair's vibrations as it loosened the aching muscles in his back. Life had just gotten interesting for him. Upon arriving in his clearing, Naruto immediately engaged Kyuubi in conversation. "So, what do you think, Q?" Naruto asked his tenant. "About what?" "The clan head thing," Kyuubi inquired, having listened to his container's conversation with his surrogate grandfather. "Not really. I'm not that interested in the clan head status, since I'm still too young to think about that. However, I'm more concerned about having to reveal my bloodline to everyone. I'm not sure how people will take it. After all, I'm not really that popular in the village, so telling them I have these abilities might not be well received by the public," Naruto stated with a frown. "There's nothing we can do about that, Kit. Maybe we can make a deal with the Hokage to keep it a secret until you graduate from the academy," Kyuubi suggested. "Speaking of the academy, what are you planning to do with your training schedule? Since you'll be spending most of the day in school, you won't have time to explore your abilities. I'm not really sure, I'm really excited about attending the academy, but I also want to explore my abilities more. I'm pretty sure what I can do now is only the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. True. To be honest, I've already come up with a plan, but it might drain you for a few hours before you're up for training again. What do you have in mind? Naruto asked, intrigued by what the tailed beast had in store for him. In the past 2 years, Naruto had developed a healthy respect for Kyubai's help and took great pains to heed its advice. We can always send a reinforced cage bunshin to the academy, but this time, you'll add a bit of my chakra to it to ensure it won't get dispelled easily. Besides, I can teach you what you'll be learning at the academy anyway, so you're just going for the sake of graduating, since there's no way for you to join the shinobi ranks without their recommendation. That's a good idea, Q. But don't you think we should run this by Gigi? I mean, he should know, right? You think he wouldn't find out? If I know that old man well and I do, he'll be keeping an eye on you, since your abilities are quite unique, the fox explained. You do have a point there. So, let's stick with that plan then, Naruto declared before creating clones to practice more of his chakra magic. Despite their original plan, Naruto decided to attend the first day of the academy himself instead of sending a clone. He woke up early on his first day and created a clone to make breakfast before hitting the showers. He didn't bother with anything fancy for clothes, seeing no point in impressing his instructors. He simply wore a dark blue shirt and black cargo pants. He also didn't bring anything else, knowing he could create whatever he needed. After a delicious breakfast of eggs, bread, and milk, Kyuubi had drilled into him that eating only ramen wasn't a good idea. At first, Naruto resisted, but he quickly relented when the fox explained he was short because he wasn't getting enough nutrients for growth. His chakra could only do so much to support him, after all. Noticing he still had an hour before the academy started, Naruto decided to arrive early to pick a good seat and observe his classmates. He teleported from his apartment to an alley a block from the school and walked the rest of the way. He arrived at the Shinobi Academy to find it deserted. Guessing he was too early, he decided to locate his designated classroom and wait. It didn't take him long to find room 201, the first room on the second floor. He opened the door to see a shinobi at a desk, reading documents. The shinobi was a Chunin, judging by his vest. His haircut made him resemble a dolphin, but a scar on his face made him look cool. Good morning. I'm here for the first day of class, Naruto greeted, handing his admittance form to the ninja. The Chunin smiled at the boy's punctuality. Early, aren't you? Let me see. Uzumaki Naruto. First time at the academy. Good. My name is Umino Irika. I'll be your instructor for the next 5 years you're at the academy, so you should start calling me Irika-sensei from now on. Why don't you grab a chair and relax? Classes won't start for another hour, said the now introduced Irika. Naruto nodded and surveyed the room. He decided to sit at the very back to observe those entering. It wasn't long before the new students began to arrive, one by one, choosing their seats. Most of them seemed quite ordinary. Not very interesting, are they? Naruto commented to his tenant. Meh. What do you expect? They're still kids. Give them a few years to change, if they change, that is, Kyuubi said with a tired yawn. Sleepy again? Lazy fox, Naruto said with amusement. This caused the fox to growl in irritation. I didn't sleep much last night, damn it. I was busy filtering through the memories from your clones. They read some interesting books we can try out with your bloodline if they work. If not, we can think of something else, Kyuubi said, releasing another loud yawn that echoed throughout the mindscape. This caused Naruto to sweat drop. So, what did you find out? Anything interesting? Naruto asked, excited about what his clones had read in the library. He didn't receive the memories firsthand because Kyuubi ensured the influx of information was sorted by him first before being released to Naruto's own mind. This method was quite useful, especially when dispelling a large number of clones, which could cause a painful migraine or even put his container in a coma. Nothing much, to be honest, but some of the things they read gave me ideas you can incorporate into your fighting style. There was this one clone who read a manga about an assassin with a gun. Maybe we can reverse engineer that so you can have your own. But instead of bullets, we can modify it to use chakra, Kyuubi said, quite interested in the ranged weapon. Another clone read a book about a kid using spells to do things that aren't normally possible, but the way the main character did things with a magic stick could be quite useful, though yours could be better since you don't need a medium for your abilities to work. Here, let me send you the information so you can check it out yourself. I need a nap. Naruto waited as the information filtered through his brain. To be honest, it was quite a lot, so he was thankful for Kyuubi giving it to him in bits and pieces instead of all at once. If he had, he wasn't sure his brain could survive the information overload. Naruto pretended to be asleep as he sorted through the information so he wouldn't be disturbed. It seemed his clones had expanded their reading repertoire to include comics called manga. The one with the gun came from a manga called Black Cat, a powerful assassin who carried an indestructible gun and had impeccable aim. The other was a fantasy book called Harry Potter. It was quite interesting, to say the least, since the abilities demonstrated by the characters were similar to his own, though the ones in the book had to use something called a wand just to do what they did. It was quite weird, really, but the idea of spells was very intriguing, though he could forgo the words to make them work. Another interesting manga his clone read was about people who utilized their life energy for amazing feats. From the looks of it, people called hunters utilized it to augment their bodies or create desired effects, like creating chains connected to their bodies to attack and defend. He found this restricting, but the idea of reinforcing their bodies with nin to increase their speed and strength was something to look into. He placed his hand inside his pocket and created a piece of paper and a pen to avoid displaying his abilities to his classmates. He pulled them out and started writing, noting things to incorporate into his training. Things to try out, try creating a gun, or maybe two, and find ways to use chakra bullets instead of regular ones. Try making spells if possible. Use chakra magic to enhance his body for attacking and defense. Naruto placed the tip of his pen in his mouth and adopted a thoughtful expression, brainstorming new ideas. He noticed the room was almost full, so he decided to pay attention for now. He folded the paper and put it back in his pocket along with his created pen. He planned to review it with Kyuubi later to see if it was possible. School ended that afternoon, and Naruto couldn't have been happier. He had expected many things to happen in school, like Irika-sensei teaching them about shinobi subjects, but he couldn't believe how the teacher droned on and on about history in a monotone. It was maddening. He decided then and there to send a reinforced cage bunshin instead of attending himself. He'd rather spend time training than sitting bored to death for 8 hours. His annoyance was picked up by his tenant. "What's got you in a foul mood?" Kyuubi asked in a groggy voice. It seemed the lazy fox had just woken up. This made Naruto's eye twitch. "Where have you been, you baka fox? I was trying to talk to you all day." Naruto spat in his mind, throwing another fireball at a tree, scorching its bark. Kyuubi just shrugged, which caused Naruto's eye to twitch again and another fireball to fly from his outstretched hand. "I was asleep, idiot. Why don't you try staying up all night, sorting through information non-stop? Anyway, I shut off the connection between us because I really needed to sleep, so stop your cursing and tell me what got your boxers in a twist. You'd be cursing too if you had to spend 8 hours attending a boring class with a boring teacher with an endless, boring dialogue of boring Konoha history." Naruto spat, punctuating his annoyance by throwing a fireball at an innocent tree every time he said boring. "Well, thankfully, I'm not the one attending school now, am I?" He, said the very smug Biju. "I really hate you, you know that right?" A deadpanned, irate Naruto responded. "I do," came the smug reply. Naruto's early academy days, Year 1, age 9. Naruto's first year at the Shinobi Academy, or rather, his clone's grueling experience, proved largely uneventful, filled with monotonous lectures. Yet, a few silver linings emerged, making the ordeal more bearable. Primarily, he discovered that his class was a gathering of the generation's clan heirs, and he managed to forge genuine friendships with some of them, forming bonds. His first friend was Nara Shikamaru, and through him, Akimichi Chuji. Naruto quickly pegged Shikamaru as a lazy genius, prone to napping in class and endlessly cloud-gazing. Beneath this relaxed exterior, however, lay a brilliant mind, particularly evident during their shogi matches. Naruto had yet to claim a single victory, a challenge he eagerly embraced, vowing to one day defeat the laid-back Nara. Shikamaru's only response was a typical, troublesome blonde. Through Shikamaru, he met Akimichi Chuji, a good-natured boy with an insatiable appetite. Shikamaru had sternly warned Naruto that referring to Chuji as fat or chubby was strictly forbidden unless he wished to face Chuji's formidable wrath. Naruto thoroughly enjoyed his time with Chuji, especially when Shikamaru's laziness kept him away. Conversations flowed easily between them, though eating remained their favorite shared pastime. Ichiraku ramen became a regular haunt for the duo when Shikamaru wasn't around. Another academy friend was Inyazuka Kiba, the boisterous member of the dog clan, always accompanied by his loyal companion, Akamaru. Kiba quickly became Naruto's go-to partner in pranks, with Irika-sensei frequently finding himself their primary target. He also attempted to befriend Hiwaga Hinata, the quiet Hyuga heir, but found it impossible to elicit more than a few words from her. Greeting her consistently resulted in a bright red blush followed by an immediate faint. This utterly bewildered Naruto, and a snickering Kyuubi offered no explanation for her peculiar reactions. Despite her extreme shyness, Hinata often joined their group, though she rarely spoke. This suited Naruto just fine, as he silently resolved to help Hinata overcome her shyness in the future. While other clan heirs populated the class, Naruto largely kept his distance from them for various reasons. The lone Uchiha. Foremost among them was Uchiha Sasuke, the last survivor of his clan. Sasuke perpetually brooded, surrounded by an unending swarm of squealing fangirls whose empty compliments grated on Naruto's nerves. Among them were the blonde-haired Yamanaka Ino and the pink-haired Harano Sakura. Naruto gave up on trying to befriend them after his good mornings consistently led to scoldings for interrupting their Suzuki time. After 3 attempts, he decided to leave them be. Strategic underperformance. During his time at the academy, Naruto, at Kuwabai's insistence, carefully concealed his true abilities. Kuwabai had cautioned him to control his bloodline to avoid revealing his full potential. Consequently, Naruto deliberately performed just enough to maintain an average grade, a strategy he found agreeable since Kuwabai had long ago curbed his show-off tendencies. However, not every moment spent by his clone in the academy was pleasant. The lessons themselves were adequate, but Naruto felt he could learn far more independently or under Kuwabai's guidance. This conviction grew stronger as he noticed certain academy instructors attempting to undermine his education. He held a genuine fondness for Irika-sensei, who consistently went out of his way to assist all students. Irika's partner, Mizuki, however, seemed to harbor an intense dislike for Naruto, evident in his constant glares. Whenever Irika wasn't present, Mizuki would deliberately sabotage Naruto's learning, much to Naruto's quiet amusement. Mizuki's attempts included *genjutsu on tests, placing genjutsu on Naruto's test papers, which Naruto easily dispelled. His personal studies had taught him to counter small-scale illusions with ease, and Kuwabai had further informed him of his inherent immunity to genjutsu, thanks to having 2 minds within his body. Weighted weapons, providing him with weighted shurikens and kunao during weapons training. Naruto effortlessly countered this by crafting his own and subtly swapping them out when Mizuki's back was turned. Sabotage taijutsu, teaching him incorrect taijutsu moves. Naruto, already proficient in the academy's taijutsu style, simply played along without exposing Mizuki. Personal growth and training. Despite these irritations, Naruto's personal training proved highly productive. He chose to continue his training, using the academy lessons as a flexible framework. Instead of the academy taijutsu, he embraced Tai Chi, finding its flowing movements perfectly suited his style. While he largely bypassed ninjutsu due to his bloodline, he did master the Kawarimi no Jutsu, substitution technique, for quick escapes. His natural Bunshin no Jutsu, cloning technique, was, of course, replaced by shadow clones, a superior alternative. He also resolved to learn other supplementary jutsu, avoiding overspecialization in his innate abilities. When the Academy Taijutsu style was introduced, Naruto took a break from his rigorous schedule to explore various combat forms at the Konoha Library. He stumbled upon Tai Chi among dusty scrolls in the Taijutsu section, astonished that such a powerful art had been largely forgotten by the shinobi populace. The scroll described Tai Chi as a relaxing exercise involving fluid movements synchronized with breathing. Crucially, it also noted that these movements, when perfected, could transform into a devastating dance of both defense and offense. He immediately immersed himself in its katas with zeal. Alongside his taijutsu, Naruto diligently maintained his physical workouts. His current weights totaled 280 pounds, 70 pounds each. He planned to gradually increase this, aiming to wear weights during missions to further enhance his strength. Following Madogai's training regimen, he projected being able to comfortably handle up to 4,000 pounds in a few years. However, he had no desire to become bulky, prioritizing speed and agility. A slight increase in strength, he reasoned, could only be beneficial. Naturally, Naruto and Kuwabai dedicated significant time to practicing with his bloodline, uncovering numerous techniques for future use. His physical training regimen had dramatically boosted his chakra reserves, ensuring he could unleash his spells on the battlefield without fear of depletion. Kuwabai had suggested utilizing his chakra, which was inherently more potent than a human's, but they decided to postpone this, fearing it might be more hazardous than helpful at this stage. For bloodline training, Naruto assigned his clones a list of abilities to experiment with, while he personally focused on taijutsu and seals. Speaking of which, Naruto had devoured all the books on the Namikaze sealing style but hadn't yet put them into practice. According to the texts, merely memorizing existing seals was the work of a copycat, not a master. Thus, Naruto meticulously dissected each seal, learning its intricate components to enable him to devise new ones independently. Presently, his work on seals revolved around his ambitious plan to integrate ranged weapons into his arsenal, 2 guns, similar in design to the protagonist's weapons from Black Cat. Instead of conventional bullets and gunpowder, Kuwabai theorized that Naruto could use seals to imbue the guns with his potent chakra, another set of seals to mold it into a solid, bullet-like construct, and a final seal to launch it. So far, Naruto remained in the planning phase, still considering himself an amateur in the art of sealing. Regarding his bloodline, Naruto had already mastered creation and transformation, limited only by his imagination, and had begun integrating them with elemental manipulation. He started with fire, which he could already generate using his abilities. However, transforming it into shapes beyond the standard fireball proved more challenging, requiring intense concentration to master. The most crucial discovery, however, was the creation of the chakra shield. The idea sparked during a conversation between Naruto and Kuwabai about harnessing the tailed beast's chakra. The concept first materialized when Kyuubi explained that the initial stage of his chakra allowed for the formation of a cloak, enveloping Naruto from head to toe in a fox-like aura, complete with a tail and ears. This chakra would solidify around his body, providing defense against attacks while also being manipulable for offense. Using the fox cloak as a foundation, Naruto projected his special chakra outward, slowly shaping it into a sphere around himself. It took a week for the shield to fully solidify. His first test, having a clone hurl a fireball at him, nearly ended in a painful burn as he barely ducked when it effortlessly pierced the construct. The shield had popped like a balloon. Ultimately, Kyuubi solved the problem, suggesting he inject more chakra into the shield and condense it further to withstand attacks. As a training exercise, Naruto would stand in the center of a clearing, surrounded by clones relentlessly flinging fireballs at his chakra shield. He could maintain it for 5 minutes under constant barrage. Kyuubi assured him that with continued practice, he could increase its duration and durability, with the added benefit of expanding his chakra reserves as his reservoirs would drain and then grow after each session. Naruto's Academy Days, Year 2, Age 10. Naruto was heading towards Training Ground 44, known both affectionately and fearfully as the Forest of Death. He couldn't yet teleport directly into the forest, as he hadn't established a mental anchor there, but that would be easily remedied upon arrival. Are you absolutely sure about this, Q? Naruto asked his furry tenant, a hint of apprehension in his voice. Completely, Kyuubi replied patiently, as if addressing a 5-year-old. You've been training your abilities for years, but it's all useless if you can't get any real-world practice. Practice? I've been practicing and training since I found out about this, Q, the boy scoffed. Oh, sure you have. Those trees back in the clearing have given you so much practice that you're ready to use your abilities in actual combat, the fox retorted sarcastically. Quiet, Kit. Trust me on this. If you want to get strong, you need to test your skills against moving targets, and I know this forest has plenty of them for you. Fine. You're right. But how do you even know about this forest? Naruto asked, a fearful tremor in his voice. A place named Forest of Death, filled with enormous trees, sounded ominous and didn't inspire much confidence in his ability to survive, despite his skills. The first Hokage, Hashirama Senju, created the forest using his unique bloodline during Konoha's founding, Kyuubi explained, savoring memories of Mito-sama and Kushina-chan, especially the latter. I learned about it through them, particularly Kushina, who spent a lot of time here practicing her kenjutsu. Hashirama overdid his technique, which is why the trees exude chakra and natural energy, causing the animals inside to grow to massive sizes and become incredibly strong, catching unsuspecting ninjas off guard. Kushina even told me it's often used for the Chunin exams when they're held in Konoha. Kyuubi mentally relished images of Kushina effortlessly slicing through giant tigers, snakes, and insects during her Jonin days before the Third Shinobi War. Naruto gulped. Large animals were never a good sign, and large, powerful animals certainly didn't boost his confidence in survival. Are you sure I can handle it? Naruto asked timidly. Kyuubi rolled his eyes in exasperation. Yes, you can. I have full confidence in your abilities. Besides, I'm here, monitoring the situation, so if it gets too dangerous, I can just tell you to teleport to safety. So stop worrying and get there quickly. We don't want to go in at night, that's when the predators typically emerge, and they're usually even bigger than the regular animals around here. Nothing more was said as Naruto continued his journey to the Training Ground of Doom, as he mentally dubbed his future training area. An hour later, he arrived, awestruck by the sheer size of the trees. They were colossal. Some were wider than the Hokage Tower and as tall as the Hokage Monument. Holy crap. You said they were big, but not that big, Naruto exclaimed in awe, though a slight apprehension crept in regarding the potential predators lurking in the shadowed foliage. Well, excuse me for not providing an accurate description of the forest, Kyuubi retorted sarcastically. See that fence over there? That marks the boundary of the Forest of Death. Pick an entry point, then memorize it so you can teleport in every time you need to practice. Naruto decided to enter through Gate 21, directly in front of him. The fence was imposing, clearly reinforced with chakra to prevent the forest's inhabitants from escaping. Taking a deep breath, he visualized the other side of the gate and teleported inside, unable to open the heavily locked entrance. He exhaled slowly, calming himself. Well, here we go, he said resolutely, wheeling his feet towards the menacing forest's dark foliage, oblivious to the hungry amber eyes tracking his every move. First encounter in the Forest of Death. Harmless, he said. You'll get plenty of practice from the animals, he said. You can do it easily, he said. I hate you, Kyuubi. Naruto growled at his tenant as he sprinted through the forest, desperately trying to evade man-sized tigers intent on turning him into their next meal. I didn't tell you to run. I told you to fight so you could practice your abilities, Kyuubi said, lounging in the mindscape, clearly amused by his container's predicament. I'm just a kid, Q. I'm still in the academy, for crying out loud. Naruto whined, leaping over a massive log that could have easily tripped him and left him at the mercy of his pursuers. He landed on the other side and resumed his dash, glancing back to see if the tigers had given up. Alas, they easily cleared the log, resuming the chase, their eyes now hungrier than ever. All that running seemed to have made him even more appetizing. "Well, if you want to quit, then leave the forest. Nothing's stopping you, you know," Kuwabai remarked lazily, though he knew deep down his container was too stubborn to back down from a challenge. Cursing his impending actions, Naruto activated his chakra shield and spun around, charging headlong into the rampaging tigers. They seemed to smile, believing their meal was coming directly to them. Unfortunately for the tigers, Naruto's shield had been fine-tuned to withstand powerful fireballs, and their meager strength stood no chance of penetrating it. Naruto barreled through their formation, scattering them with ease. He knew he needed to separate them. Fighting them all at once seemed impossible, though he admitted he might manage if he truly pushed himself. Without slowing, he ran towards a large tree, some tigers still hot on his heels. He disengaged the shield and scaled its bark, causing the tigers to halt at the base, looking up at the boy defying gravity. Once halfway up the tree, Naruto leaped off, flipping to gain a clear view of the tigers waiting exactly where he was about to land. Wasting no time, he conjured 10 head-sized fireballs and unleashed them upon the waiting predators. The attack was so swift that only 4 managed to evade the fiery barrage, the other 6 were incinerated. Naruto frowned as the 4 remaining tigers reformed, ready to attack upon his landing. He seized the initiative, teleporting a few meters behind them while reactivating his chakra shield to guard against any surprise attacks from the shadows. Spotting a large boulder to his left, he used telekinesis to hurl it at the group, striking one tiger and eliciting a pained yelp. From the snap he heard, that tiger wouldn't be joining the fight anytime soon. The other 3 were lucky enough to dodge the unexpected assault. With their formation broken, Naruto created 5 overpowered fireballs and launched them at the 3 tigers who hadn't recovered in time, reducing them to ash. He then used the same boulder he'd hurled earlier to crush the last remaining tiger. Naruto didn't bother to deactivate his shield as he lay panting on the forest floor. "Damn, real-life experience isn't all it's cracked up to be," Naruto gasped, feeling the adrenaline drain from his body. "What did you expect? These aren't your favorite trees. These are predators who would love nothing more than to eat you. This is precisely why you need to practice your abilities against moving opponents, to train your mind to react quickly when the situation demands it. Anyway, you did well for your first attempt, but you could have done better," Kuwabai mused, watching the fight replay in the mindscape. Yeah. I don't see you running from them or fending them off," he retorted, sensing the obvious jab at his performance. Did it ever occur to you to remove your chakra weights so you could outrun them easily and buy time to formulate an attack plan?" the fox suggested. The ensuing silence was deafening. "I rest my case." Naruto decided to head home early to soothe his frayed nerves after his initial foray into the forest of death. In the relative safety of his home, he replayed his actions in the forest and grudgingly agreed with Kuwabai, it could have gone better. After all, charging headlong into an enemy when they possessed skills that could negate his shield was never a good idea. Foregoing dinner, he went straight to bed, silently vowing to perform better in the future. Forest of Death, the new training ground. 3 months had passed since his first attempt in the Forest of Death, and Naruto had decided to relocate his primary training area from the clearing behind the Hokage Monument to Training Ground 44 for several compelling reasons. First, with Kuwabai having upgraded his training program to include live opponents, the clearing within Training Ground 44 offered an abundant supply of active targets. Furthermore, he was now forced to hone his senses to anticipate potential attacks, as the dense shadows beneath the trees made it impossible to know if a hungry animal was watching, poised to strike. Second, the Forest of Death remained a relatively secret training ground, as no sane person would enter it for recreation. He did, however, resolve to stay updated on news of potential Chunin exams being held in Konoha, to avoid being discovered. Over the past 3 months, Naruto opted for a more unconventional training regimen, engaging in live combat within the forest instead of traditional exercises. This hands-on approach significantly honed his battle strategies. He frequently sparred with large tigers, his preferred opponents, while the 9-tailed fox, Kuwabai, favored battles with giant spiders. Both shuddered at the sight of gigantic leeches, with their repulsive, slimy forms. He also refined his combat skills, such as instantly materializing a kunao and accurately hurling it at targets. During this period, Naruto also delved into experimenting with firearms. Crafting the gun's exterior was simple, but understanding its internal mechanisms proved challenging, rendering it unusable. Naruto and Kuwabai spent a month brainstorming the gun's inner workings to make it functional. Their first decision was to construct the weapon from chakra metal, a material conductive enough to absorb Naruto's chakra for bullet creation and to power the firing mechanism. Unfamiliar with chakra metal properties, Naruto realized he'd need a village blacksmith's expertise. Designing the gun's mold, barrel, and piston for the firing mechanism took time until Kuwabai brought up a new hurdle. Money! Naruto groaned when Kuwabai raised the issue of funding for the gun's creation. He knew chakra metals were expensive, and a fully chakra metal gun would be a significant financial strain. His Hokage allowance barely covered his immense appetite. Kuwabai quickly offered a solution: leave the village and steal ill-gotten wealth from bandits. Naruto immediately saw the merit in this plan, especially since he had no desire to work in the village where he felt ignored. By the 4th month of his 2nd year at the academy, Naruto had perfected the gun mold, designing it for teenage hands to avoid needing new resources as he grew. After completing the mold, Naruto slipped out of the village under the cover of darkness, using teleportation to bypass ambush sentries. He moved through the shadows until he reached the gate, then teleported into the forest's edge outside Konoha. Venturing deeper, he found a clearing and marked a tree with a Konoha symbol, intending it as a future entry point if he needed to leave the village again. He continued further into the forest, drawn by rumors of bandit camps targeting merchants. 3 hours past midnight, he located his first target, a bandit camp. It wasn't large, with barely 20 individuals, but Kuwabai assured him it was bigger than typical bandit groups. Naruto remained hidden atop a large tree overlooking the camp, devising a strategy. After a few minutes, he decided to employ one of his perfected invisibility spells. He teleported behind a tent, immediately casting the spell, making him virtually undetectable unless the group had a chakra sensor. He silently moved through the camp, searching each tent for valuables. He struck gold in the largest tent, clearly the leader's, where he found a chest brimming with jewels and gold coins hidden behind a tarp. Grinning widely, Naruto shrunk the chest and teleported back to his apartment, congratulating himself on a successful mission. Naruto couldn't believe his luck as he unloaded and counted his stolen loot from the bandit camp. It took a while to tally, but the results were astounding. Besides the gold coins and jewels, he found a dozen scrolls at the bottom. Recognizing the storage seals, he was shocked to unseal their contents, a vast quantity of gold coins, which he counted with gusto. He had stolen approximately 2 million ryo in coins and an unquantified amount of jewels. This was more than enough for his guns, with plenty left over for future projects. He sealed some money back into the scrolls and returned them to the chest. However, he sealed 500,000 ryo into a separate scroll to bring with him to the blacksmith the next day. He went to bed that night with a broad smile. Naruto slipped into an alley near his apartment and donned his disguise, emerging as a tastefully dressed middle-aged man with messy black hair and green eyes. This disguise, an adult version of the one he'd used to infiltrate the Konoha library, was perfect for his plans. He walked through the bustling streets of Konoha, unbothered by the stares. It took him a while to find a blacksmith who worked with chakra metals. After asking around, he was directed to Higurashi Weapons, as its owner specialized in such materials. He arrived quickly, though his feet were a bit sore from walking across the village from his apartment on the opposite side. He entered the shop to find a well-muscled man engrossed in a magazine. "Good morning, sir," Naruto greeted. "Good morning. How can I help you?" the man replied. "My name is Kurama, and I've been asking around for a blacksmith specializing in chakra metals who accepts custom orders. Have I come to the right place?" Naruto inquired. Kuwabai had provided the alias, instructing him to maintain the persona of a wealthy nobleman, a role that would simplify future, potentially questionable, projects. "You've absolutely come to the right place, Kurama-san. My name is Kaido, and I own Higurashi Weapons. I specialize in chakra metals and certainly accept reasonable custom orders," Kaido replied with a smile. "Excellent." Naruto produced a storage scroll and unsealed the molds, causing Kaido to raise an eyebrow. "Are you, by any chance, a ninja?" the blacksmith asked, knowing civilians couldn't use storage scrolls due to their lack of chakra. "No, I'm not, but in my youth, I hired a shinobi to teach me basic chakra control so I could utilize their various tools. I'm a collector of sorts, and I value knowledge above all else," Naruto lied smoothly. Kaido nodded, accepting the explanation. "Oh, I see. So what are these for?" Kaido asked, gesturing to the molds on the counter. Naruto gave him a sheepish look. "These are molds I created for a weapon called a gun, which I read about in one of the rare books I possess. From what I've discovered, guns were used before the time of the Sage of Six Paths, and I wish to recreate them for my collection," he explained. Kaido nodded, prompting him to continue. "This mold is for the gun's chassis, while this one contains the mechanisms intended to fire small metal balls called bullets. I don't intend to use these weapons since information on their full functionality is scarce, but I'd like a partially working model for my collection. Oh, and I want them made from chakra metals. I only want the best." Naruto finished, an excited glint in his eyes. Kaido frowned at the mention of chakra metals. "Are you sure? Chakra metals are quite expensive, and such detailed creations can be rather pricey," Kaido mused, mentally calculating the project's cost. Naruto simply waved off his concern. "Money is no object. I only desire the best for my collection, and in my experience, nothing surpasses chakra metals," he said haughtily, though his grin conveyed he wasn't a snobbish nobleman. Kaido chuckled. "All right. Since cost isn't an issue for you, I'll gladly take on this project. Do you have the schematics so I can assemble these once they're out of the mold?" From the look of the parts, it seems you want them to be easily disassembled, correct? Kaido asked, examining the second mold with a discerning eye. Naruto nodded and pulled a scroll from his pocket, handing it to the shop owner, who read its contents. That's the blueprint I copied from the book at my estate. It should help you address any potential issues during creation. Any questions? He asked. Kaido shook his head, reviewing the notes on the blueprint. No. The notes are perfectly clear, and the blueprint will be a great help in fine-tuning the item. Now, let's discuss the price. You're fortunate that I just received a delivery of chakra metals from the land of iron. They're the finest quality. The metals alone will cost 250,000 ryo per item. For the detailed work, I'll charge 100,000 ryo each, Kaido stated, observing his potential customer to see if he'd back out. It was an expensive project, and no sane person would spend that much, collection or not. Naruto grinned, pulled out the scroll containing his money, and tossed it to a surprised Kaido. There's 500,000 ryo in there. That should cover the cost of the metals for both guns. Consider that a down payment. I'll give you the remaining 200,000 ryo upon completion. Is that agreeable? Kaido nodded, a wide, excited grin spreading across his face. Agreed. For both guns, give me a week. I can dedicate all my time to this order without other projects tying me down. I'll start immediately. Come back next week for your toys. Naruto nodded and extended his hand, which Kaido immediately grasped, sealing the deal. He left the shop, pleased with his accomplishment. For a week, Naruto remained in his apartment, diligently working on the seals he would inscribe onto his new guns. He finalized the chakra-absorbing seal for the gun's handle and a network of conduction seals to transfer power to the barrel. These were surrounded by compression seals to shape the energy into a bullet. He slightly modified the seal to add a thick chakra coating to the suppressed energy, preventing it from detonating prematurely when it contacted the altered exploding seal at the end of the piston, which would launch it from the barrel. The chakra shield would thin upon contact with the exploding seal, propelling the bullet at incredible speeds. However, a small amount of coating would remain, strong enough to retain the bullet's shape, causing it to explode upon impact with a solid object. Kuwabai theorized that the shield would retain its shape against human skin, depending on its toughness, allowing for piercing. To simplify Kuwabai's explanation, the bullet's shield would partially solidify it to pierce flesh but would explode upon hitting anything solid enough to destroy the chakra coating. Developing these necessary seals involved numerous trials and errors, accompanied by a fair share of explosions. All that remained was to apply them to the weapons and begin testing. Naruto returned to Higurashi Weapons for his new weapons, but noticed Kaido wasn't at the counter. Instead, a girl his age was manning the register, reading a novel. Hi, is Kaido-san around? Naruto asked the girl. He found her quite cute, especially with her hair styled in two buns. She wore a pink Chinese outfit that he thought looked amazing on her. Hello, my dad's in his workshop working on something. I can get him for you if you'd like, the girl offered with a smile. Naruto returned the smile and nodded. Thank you. Can you tell him that Kurama is here for his orders? The girl nodded, rose from her seat, and headed to the back. She returned 5 minutes later with Kaido, who grinned at the sight of Naruto. Kurama-san, you're just in time. I've just finished the details of your order. Why don't we head to the back so you can inspect the merchandise? Kaido said with a triumphant grin. It seemed Naruto's order had brought him immense satisfaction. Naruto nodded, and Kaido led him to the workshop at the back of the shop. There, on the work table, lay his creations, two guns resting on a white cloth, unveiled in their full glory. The excited boy beneath the man's disguise carefully examined the finished products. He couldn't deny Kaido's excellent craftsmanship. Each piece was meticulously made, and the assembly was exquisite. Kaido had followed the blueprint specifications precisely. One gun was pure black, the other pure white. The trigger guard was angular, forming a shield to protect his hands and potentially deflect incoming weapons. Overall, he loved what he saw. They're beautiful, Kaido-san. You followed my specifications to the letter, Naruto said breathlessly as he lifted one of the guns, testing its weight. It felt perfect. I thought they'd be heavier, considering how dense chakra metal is. I know. I finished both yesterday and noticed they were quite heavy after assembly, so I took the liberty of adding an anti-gravity seal to the bottom of the handle to lighten them. After all, you wouldn't want to sprain your wrist playing with them, Kaido said with a grin. Naruto nodded, knowing the anti-gravity seal wouldn't interfere with the other seals he planned to incorporate. He placed the gun back on the table and produced a scroll containing 300,000 ryo, handing it to the blacksmith. There's 300,000 ryo in that scroll, 200,000 for the custom work and 100,000 as a bonus. These are works of art, and it's only right for me to give you a bonus for a job well done, Naruto said with a smile. He genuinely loved the finished product and resolved to return to Kaido for similar projects in the future. Kaido grinned, accepting the praise and money. He retrieved a decorated box from a shelf above his workbench. Opening it, he revealed a soft padding, large enough for two guns. He carefully placed both weapons inside before replacing the lid and handing the box to his customer. "Thanks for the praise. It was an honor to work on such fine pieces. It's a shame we couldn't get them to work fully. They'd be quite powerful on the field, but they're great weapons nonetheless." "You're welcome," Kaido-san, Naruto said before his expression turned serious. "Could I ask you to keep the creation of these guns a secret? If the design falls into the wrong hands, it could be disastrous for the village. I love Konoha and wouldn't want her enemies to find a way to use these guns against her." Kaito nodded solemnly. "I agree. I'll take this secret to my grave if necessary." "You have my word on that, Kurama-san." Naruto nodded and shook Kaito's hand, promising to return for future work before leaving the shop. Naruto teleported to the clearing behind the Hokage monument after ducking into a deserted alley a block from Kaito's shop. Eager to inscribe and test his new weapons, he created a makeshift workshop and unsealed his tools onto the table. He immediately got to work. He began by disassembling the gun. First, he inscribed the chakra-absorbing seals and conduction seals onto the handle, extending towards the barrel frame, which would create the bullets. This took him 2 hours, as he meticulously avoided any mistakes that could damage the weapons. Next, he took the bullet barrel and inscribed its exterior with the modified chakra compression seals. This task alone required an hour and a half. The most painstaking part followed, inscribing the exploding seal onto the piston that would launch the chakra bullet. He had to create a magnifying glass and levitate it above the piston so he could use both hands for the intricate inscription. This took him an hour. Thankfully, he'd had the foresight to make miniature versions of his tools beforehand. Finally, he added reinforcement and durability seals to the rest of the gun to ensure it would withstand the shock and recoil of firing. Kuwabai also suggested adding a blood seal to the gun, ensuring that only he and his descendants could use the weapon, preventing theft or its use against him. Tired from the inscription work, Naruto pushed on, reassembling the gun and marveling at the finished product. The gun was beautiful on its own, but the engraved seals enhanced its intricate details. He christened the black gun Ebony and the white one Ivory. It was time to test the guns to confirm they functioned according to their schematics. He lifted the completed guns from the table and, with a single thought, vanished the workbench. Looking around, he spotted a large tree 30 meters away and decided it would serve as an excellent target. He raised Ebony, channeling chakra to his hands. He felt the seals activate and pulled the trigger. A ball of blue chakra shot from the gun towards the tree, taking a large chunk out of the trunk in a small explosion. Naruto's jaw dropped. "Whoa! That was so cool," he exclaimed, looking alternately at the destroyed tree and the smoking gun with awe. "Indeed, Kit. I guess all our planning was successful. Congratulations! You now possess the only guns in existence, undeniably powerful weapons among those found in the elemental countries," Kuwabai praised, clearly impressed by the gun's power in Naruto's hands. Naruto continued experimenting with his new toys, discovering some unplanned quirks in their design. For instance, rapid firing was only possible with regular, low chakra bullets. These didn't pack enough piercing power but would inflict blunt force trauma on enemies. More powerful, larger bullets required charging time. The longer the charge, the more powerful the bullet and subsequent explosion. An overpowered bullet, when sufficiently charged, could match the destructive capacity of an exploding tag, as evidenced when a tree was obliterated into splinters after a single shot. Naruto noticed that stronger bullets produced significant recoil, knocking him off his feet upon firing. Kuwabai advised him to channel chakra to the ground to maintain his stance. Naruto decided to avoid firing such powerful bullets mid-air, as it would send him flying if he wasn't careful. After testing Ebony and Ivory's capabilities, Naruto conjured various target dummies around the clearing and began firing. He found his accuracy was a bit off but knew he could easily practice with his guns to match his throwing proficiency. At the end of the day, Naruto teleported back to his apartment, carefully placing Ebony and Ivory on the table. He watched them with a loving smile before heading to bed, tired but content with these new additions to his repertoire. The third year's end. For Naruto, the conclusion of his third year at the academy was decidedly underwhelming. While lessons had finally become engaging enough to hold his attention, the inclusion of spars, chakra theory, and control exercises, along with training in various throwing weapons, occupied time he usually spent daydreaming or outright sleeping, much to Irika's frustration. Throughout this third year, Naruto kept his true capabilities under wraps. His daily training in the Forest of Death yielded significant progress, especially with Ebony and Ivory, now seamlessly sealed within his palms. Kuwabai had suggested gun holsters like those in the manga, but Naruto dismissed the idea, fearing they could be stolen or removed. Storage seals offered a much more secure solution. Determined to secure his graduation, Naruto also focused on improving his academic standing, realizing that further concealment of his abilities would be impossible. Despite Mizuki's attempts to sabotage his future, Naruto finished fourth in his class. This was thanks to his pinpoint accurate throws, tactical wins, and occasional strategic losses to maintain his facade. and deliberately omitting a few answers on written tests to achieve an above-average but not perfect score. Expanding his arsenal. His specialized training resumed once he'd mastered his firearms. A year of practice in the Forest of Death had significantly honed his accuracy. He intentionally used low-powered chakra bullets to merely stun local wildlife, avoiding depopulation, though he thoroughly enjoyed vaporizing giant spiders with overpowered shots. Naruto also delved into reading Black Cat, seeking inspiration for new weapon skills. The railgun particularly captivated him. He was grateful the manga offered a detailed description, but he held off on practicing it for now, as it required lightning chakra to replicate. Kuwabai, meanwhile, became fascinated with Steven's Suitcase of Destruction, the Baiju's own dramatic, given its vast storage capacity for weapons, and wouldn't stop pestering him about it. Ultimately, Naruto promised Kuwabai he'd experiment with similar weapons when time allowed. Bloodline discoveries and limitations. Progress in his bloodline abilities was modest but sufficient to gain slight mastery over skills that would undoubtedly give him an edge in the field. His chakra shield, for instance, was now an almost automatic defense. Through extensive training in the dangerous forest, he developed a keen sixth sense for danger, which Kuwabai theorized had been directly linked to the shield by his semi-sentient bloodline. While not activating on a whim, as evidenced by a tiger pouncing on him while he set up camp, it had saved him a second time. Another discovery related to his chakra magic was body enhancement. Unlike most ninja who use chakra control to reinforce their bodies defensively or release bursts of chakra for devastating punches and kicks, Naruto's method was distinct. He could infuse his body with chakra magic, allowing him to instinctively channel it to any part of his person for an attack. He'd felled countless trees in the Forest of Death with a single punch or kick. The main drawback was the significant chakra cost, despite his control, meaning he had to use it sparingly to avoid exhaustion. He aspired to achieve the strength displayed by Tsunade of the Sunin, but Kuwabai explained that her technique demanded perfect chakra control, an impossible feat for Naruto as his reserves continually grew with training and age. His experiments with the elements remained fruitless. Fire seemed to be a dead end for now, and other elements proved too dangerous to his health, leaving him stuck with basic fireballs. Kuwabai informed him that he'd need to master elemental chakra manipulation, a skill typically reserved for jounin, before attempting advanced abilities like elemental conjuration and unexpected summons. Naruto was currently unwinding in his apartment, enjoying a much-needed break. The third academy year had just concluded, granting them a 2-month hiatus before the next semester. He was just about to settle into a well-deserved nap when a knock at the door interrupted his plans. Grumbling, he rolled off the couch, stretching his shoulders to work out the stiffness from an afternoon of lounging. He opened the door to reveal an Umbu wearing a Nico mask. "Yes? How can I help you?" Naruto asked tiredly, rubbing an eye. He desperately wanted to return to his comfortable couch. Kuwabai's echoing rants in his mind indicated the Baijuyu felt the same. "Uzumaki-san, the Hokage requests your presence in his office as soon as possible," Nico replied. Naruto nodded. "Sure thing, Nico. I can get there myself. Just need to change," Naruto said, then paused as a thought struck him. "Want to come in so we can go together? I think you already know I have my own way of getting around." Nico nodded and stepped inside. "Thank you, Uzumaki-san. Please, just call me Naruto. Everyone does. Give me a minute to change, then we can visit Jiji," Naruto said before heading to his room. 5 minutes later, he emerged dressed in a dark blue shirt and black cargo pants. He walked over to Nico, who stood attentively by the door, though it was clear the Umbu was subtly observing the rich furniture and fixtures of his apartment. Naruto extended his hand. "Ready? I can get us there faster than rooftop travel." Nico nodded and took the offered hand just as Naruto teleported them to the Hokage's office. They materialized directly in front of a startled Hokage, while Nico swayed slightly from disorientation. "What in the world was that?" the clearly disgruntled Umbu exclaimed. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. "That's my teleportation technique. I can appear and disappear anywhere I know." "Sorry for the lack of warning, it's my first time bringing a passenger," Naruto apologized to the Umbu, who he was sure was glaring at him. "It's all right. Just give me a heads up next time," she said before melting into the shadows, vanishing from sight. This intrigued Naruto. "Now that's an interesting trick. I wonder if I can do the same," Naruto mused, his eyes fixed on the spot where Nico had disappeared. A cough from the Hokage broke his concentration. "Hello, Naruto-kun. Glad you could come on such short notice. Please, have a seat so we can get started," the Hokage said, offering Naruto a smile, which the boy happily returned. "So, Jiji, why did you call me?" Naruto asked, settling comfortably into his chair. "Well, 2 reasons, actually. First, I've missed our talks, knowing you've been busy training and having your clone attend the academy," the Hokage remarked casually. This startled Naruto. "How in the world did you find that out?" Naruto shouted in surprise. The Hokage gave him a mysterious smile. I know a great deal about the hidden goings-on in my village, Naruto-kun, so you're sending a clone to class was no secret to me. I do commend you for maximizing your resources to avoid hindering your class progress while training your abilities, the aged leader said. Anyway, I want to know what you've been up to, and I want to test your skills for something I have in mind for the future, the Hokage finished cryptically, causing both Naruto and Kyuubi to raise an eyebrow. Well, you already know I send a shadow clone to the academy every day while I train in the forest to further explore my abilities, Naruto said, a bit hesitant to reveal his new training ground in the Forest of Death. The Hokage smiled at the half-truth. You don't need to worry, Naruto-kun. I know you've been training in the Forest of Death for over a year now. In fact, one of my trusted jounin, who practically lives in the forest, reported your presence there, so I'm well aware of your activities. This revelation surprised Naruto. It seemed his secret place wasn't so secret after all. I know what you've been training, and the reports I've received from this jounin indicate you have some new, quite interesting skills in your arsenal. That's why I want to test you myself to see what you're capable of. This confused Naruto. Why do you want to test me, Jiji? And what's this plan you mentioned, he asked. That's for me to know and for you to discover in the future. So, why don't we head to your clearing in Training Ground 44 so we can begin, the Hokage said, rising from his chair and extending his hand to Naruto, a clear command to teleport them. Naruto nodded, grasped his surrogate grandfather's hand, and instantly transported them to his training area. The spar begins. Upon their arrival, Naruto released the old man, who surveyed the clearing, noting the extensive destruction he presumed was a result of Naruto's training. You've really massacred this place, Naruto-kun, Sarutobi remarked, curiously examining a tree riddled with finger-like holes. Naruto scratched the back of his head, embarrassed. Sorry, Jiji. I usually go all out during my training, Naruto said with an apologetic smile. The Hokage nodded approvingly. Good. We're going to have a small spar to demonstrate your skills. I hope you won't disappoint, Naruto, he said before leaping back and shedding his robe to reveal his battle armor underneath. Naruto was momentarily shocked by the old man's attire but quickly refocused on the spar. He lunged forward, initiating his attack with a palm thrust aimed at the Hokage's chest. The Hokage effortlessly swept it aside with one hand, then lashed out with a punch. Naruto barely sidestepped the counter but couldn't react to the rest of the old man's body, which delivered a kick to his ribs, sending him flying backward. Ouch. That hurts. For an old man, he packs quite a kick. Naruto winced internally as he sailed through the air and landed with a thud, knocking the wind out of him. He could already feel Kyuubi's chakra numbing the pain and healing the damage to his ribs as he took a deep breath to steady himself. You might want to take this seriously, Kit. The old man isn't holding back. Look out, Kyuubi roared. Naruto looked up at Kyuubi's warning to see the old man performing hand seals, taking a deep breath, and then unleashing a large fireball directly at him. Realizing he couldn't evade in time, Naruto instantly activated his chakra shield, effectively protecting him from the inferno, though the force of the attack pushed him back a few feet. Escalation. Not wanting to give the old man another chance to attack, Naruto maintained his shield and conjured 5 fireballs around his body, feeding them more chakra to increase their size. Back at ya, Jiji, he shouted, thrusting his hand forward, launching the fireballs toward the old man, who was smirking and already going through another set of seals. You're too young to pull a fast one on me, Naruto-kun. Doton, mud wall, he yelled, slamming his hand on the ground, causing a wall of solidified mud to rise, shielding him from the attack. The two techniques collided, creating a shockwave, but the wall survived with only a few cracks. Capitalizing on the momentary obscured vision, Naruto channeled a bit of chakra to the seal on his right palm, causing ebony to appear in a puff of smoke. He aimed the gun at the wall, channeled a massive amount of chakra into the pistol, and pulled the trigger. The overpowered chakra bullet streaked through the air and struck the earthen wall, creating a massive explosion that obliterated the shield. The Hokage narrowly managed to leap clear, sensing the huge chakra signature emitted by the boy. What was that? He shouted, landing to Naruto's left, eyeing the smoking gun the boy held with awe and confusion. Naruto grinned and faced the old man. Meet one of my babies, Jiji. This one's name is Ebony, he introduced his now revealed ace in the hole, pointing it at the ready Hokage. He then raised his left hand, bringing out Ivory in another puff of smoke. And this beauty here is Ivory, he pointed it at the Hokage, who now looked quite nervous at the unknown weapons aimed at him. Now, dance for me, Jiji, he cackled, raining low-powered bullets at the Hokage, who dodged frantically, knowing full well they'd hurt like hell if they connected. How in the world is that boy doing this? What are those weapons he's using? I've never seen anything like them in my entire life, the Hokage internally exclaimed, increasing his speed to evade the barrage from the trigger-happy blonde. Naruto ceased firing but charged a huge amount of chakra into both handguns. Double gun attack, twin explosion, he shouted, pulling both triggers. 2 large chakra balls erupted from the barrels, sending Naruto flying backward as the recoil proved too much for his chakra-laced feet to absorb. The astonished Hokage leaped away from the impact zone as the 2 projectiles struck the ground he just occupied, creating a massive explosion that shook the trees in the clearing. The smoke cleared, revealing a 10-meter crater where he had stood. He looked at the crater, then at Naruto, who was picking himself up from the forest floor, both guns smoking from the attack. "That was quite a powerful attack, Naruto, but it'll take more than that to defeat me," the Hokage boasted, secretly concerned by the sheer amount of damage the boy was causing. If one of those bullets hit him, he'd be done for, Hokage or not. Naruto pulled himself up, mentally scolding himself for not channeling enough chakra to his feet. He heard the Hokage praise his attack but boast it wasn't enough. He decided then and there to call for reinforcements. "I'm not done yet, Jiji." He waved his hand, holding ivory towards some nearby rocks, and 10 very large white tigers materialized, growling at the shocked Hokage. He mentally commanded them to attack while bracing himself on the ground, deactivating his shield to conserve energy, and channeling chakra to his guns for another barrage. The Hokage was surprised by the sudden appearance of the tigers, attributing it to Naruto's transformation skills. He leaped back to avoid the lunging beasts, already strategizing how to breach Naruto's defenses. One tiger got too close, but he sidestepped its clawed swipe and delivered a kick that sent it crashing into a tree, dispelling the transformation upon impact. He channeled chakra to his feet and leaped into the air to avoid another group attack, performing a series of hand seals that ended in a tiger seal, ironic, given his current opponents. "Katon mythical phoenix fire," the Hokage shouted, taking a deep breath before releasing a dozen head-sized fireballs that incinerated the tigers. He sensed an attack coming from Naruto, so he immediately leaped sideways upon landing and began running as the boy rained chakra bullets on him, cackling like a madman, which made the Hokage question the blonde's sanity. He continued through another series of hand seals while evading the bullets. The turning point. When Naruto stopped his attack, as the Hokage had hoped, he immediately slammed both hands on the ground, shouting his latest technique. "Doton, Fist of the Earth God." Naruto was confused when nothing happened after the Hokage's technique. He looked around, seeing only a smirking old man. He was about to speak when the ground beneath him rumbled, and a massive fist made of rock and earth burst forth, narrowly missing him thanks to his automatic shield activation. He thanked whatever deity was listening that his semi-sentient shield had reacted in time. However, the impact was so powerful it lifted him into the air and dispelled his shield, leaving him completely exposed. Before he could do anything else, the old man appeared above him and delivered an axe kick to his stomach, sending him plummeting back to earth, causing a small shockwave upon impact with the forest floor. Naruto was dazed from the attack, and the pain in his stomach was excruciating. He was about to pull himself off the forest floor but stopped when he felt the cold metal of a kunai at his neck, courtesy of a grim-faced Sarutobi. "Yield," the Hokage said in a voice that brooked no argument. Unable to devise any escape strategy, still too dazed from the impact to teleport to safety, Naruto nodded in defeat. The Hokage smirked, withdrew the kunai from the boy's neck, and extended a hand, which the blonde gratefully accepted. "That was a great spar, Naruto-kun. I can see you've come a long way in your training, but you still have a few weaknesses that need to be addressed," Sarutobi said, a small smile playing on his lips. Naruto groaned and held up both hands, willing his chakra magic to summon his weapons. It didn't take long for the two guns to appear in his hands, with a curious Hokage examining them closely. "You're too strong, Jiji. Nothing I did had any effect on you," Naruto moaned, rubbing his stomach as if to banish the pain. The Hokage let out a hearty laugh, clapping the blonde on the back, which made the boy wince in pain, his body still aching from the impact. "Well, I'm not called the Hokage for nothing, my boy. I have the strength and experience to back up my title, despite my old body. Besides, you didn't put much thought into your attacks, but we can fix that with proper training." "Huh," was Naruto's insightful reply. "I'm going to be training you for the next 2 months before you start your 4th year at the academy. The training I'm planning will hone your skills, making them more effective in battle. I can't deny you're strong, possibly even Jounin level, but your lack of strategic planning in attacks led to your downfall. So, do you accept?" he asked. Naruto simply nodded. He couldn't refute the old man's analysis of the spar. Besides, it wasn't every day someone was offered personalized training with the Hokage, and he wasn't foolish enough to turn it down. 2 months of training. Naruto had made up his mind. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Saname Hokage, was a sadistic sensei. After the spar, the old man gave him a few minutes to recover before asking the blonde to teleport them back to his office. Once there, the Hokage began questioning Naruto about his bloodline and abilities. He was particularly curious about the guns, ebony and ivory, and inquired about their capabilities. Needless to say, the Hokage was shocked that the boy had managed to transform a weapon from a comic book into a real-life, incredibly powerful and versatile weapon, judging by the results of their spar. The Hokage couldn't help but marvel at Naruto's ingenuity and profound understanding of seals. Naruto, a sponge for praise, basked in the compliment, his ego swelling. However, it quickly deflated when the Hokage quipped that such a sophisticated weapon was wasted on a trigger-happy moron like him. Inside his mindscape, Kurama roared with laughter, rolling around much to Naruto's irritation. The Hokage then provided a thorough assessment of Naruto's abilities following their spar. Based on his raw power, Naruto ranked somewhere between a mid-shonen and a low jonin. Yet, his glaring lack of combat experience against other shinobi dragged his practical ranking down to low shonen. Despite this significant drop, Naruto beamed, delighted by his inherent strength for his age. His ego, however, took another hit as the Hokage systematically listed his weaknesses. First, Naruto's overconfidence frequently led him to charge headfirst into situations, simply hoping for the best. Second, despite field testing his abilities against predators in the Forest of Death, he possessed no genuine combat experience against other shinobi, who would undoubtedly have their own counters. Third, while his guns were incredibly potent weapons versatile in power and range, and durable enough to double as shields, they were rendered useless in the hands of a shinobi who neglected strategy, preferring to indiscriminately unleash a barrage of bullets that could easily harm allies. Fourth, his over-reliance on his unique abilities meant he hadn't bothered to learn elemental ninjutsu. The Hokage deemed this quite stupid, emphasizing that a skilled shinobi always broadens their knowledge. In essence, Naruto had over-specialized, fostering his overconfidence. The 2 months of intense training proved to be a revelation for the young Jinchuriki. Thanks to the power of shadow clones, Naruto and the Hokage spent their days in rigorous training, while their clones dutifully attended the academy and handled paperwork. The initial week focused on evaluating Naruto's core abilities, taijutsu, genjutsu, and ninjutsu. The Hokage highly commended Naruto for adopting the Tai Chi style, recognizing it as one of the most potent and balanced forms of combat. He praised Naruto's perfect, fluid forms but noted that his lack of actual battle experience prevented him from truly mastering the style. To rectify this, the Hokage declared daily morning spars a mandatory part of their training. Naruto's ninjutsu was, frankly, abysmal. He had only taught himself 3 basic techniques: Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Kawarimi no Jutsu, and Henge no Jutsu. While sufficient for academy graduation, the Hokage stressed the missed opportunity for Naruto to expand his repertoire, especially with his clandestine access to the Konoha library, unofficially sanctioned, of course. With this in mind, the Hokage tested Naruto's elemental affinity, discovering a powerful attunement to Wine Chakra. He instructed Naruto to create 100 clones daily to practice the leaf-cutting exercise in the Forest of Death, while the original focused on direct training with the Hokage. The Hokage understood why Naruto struggled with genjutsu. His immense chakra pool made it difficult to manage the subtlety and finesse required for illusions. While praising Naruto's ability to counter illusions, he emphasized the need for more strenuous chakra control exercises to improve detection and dispel techniques. Ultimately, it took 100 clones to locate a suitable lake or river for practicing water walking. Kurama silently chided himself for not teaching his container this crucial skill earlier. Unveiling legacies and new techniques. During their second week of training, Sarutobi presented Naruto with his birthright, the Uzumaki and Namikaze scrolls. These contained all the techniques inherited from his mother and father, along with a surprisingly substantial sum of money they had saved throughout their lives. Naruto was visibly moved, tears welling up as he received this connection to his parents. He inquired if they owned a house or land, but the Hokage explained they had lived in a modest village apartment, though his father had resided in the Hokage mansion during his brief tenure. This didn't deter Naruto, who loved his current apartment but immediately began contemplating buying land in the village to build his own home. After all, he would attain clan head status upon reaching Chunin, necessitating a proper clan house for his future family. Regarding the scrolls, Naruto prioritized his mother's techniques over his father's for the time being. Uzumaki Kushina, being a water affinity user, possessed a considerable array of water techniques for Naruto to learn. However, what truly captivated his attention was Kushina's unique ability to produce chakra chains, powerful enough to restrain anything, even a fully rampaging tailed beast. Kurama clarified that Naruto had a minor inherent ability for this, sufficient to create chains for restricting enemy movement, but he could easily amplify this if desired. With this in mind, Naruto assigned several clones to manifest and refine these chains. While the clones diligently worked on their assigned tasks, the real Naruto endured training under the sadistic Hokage. His chakra weights were doubled to 100 pounds each, a total of 400 pounds, much to Naruto's dismay and the Hokage's amusement. This daily regimen included laps, push UPS, pull UPS, sit UPS, and sparring. Only Kurama's healing capabilities allowed him to endure. This grueling routine comprised only the morning session. The afternoon sessions were dedicated to specialization training, specifically, his guns. The Hokage hinted at a future plan that demanded Naruto's complete mastery of his weapons. Despite Naruto's persistent questioning, the elder Hokage remained tight-lipped, promising to reveal the details once Naruto achieved the rank of genin. It was in the second week that Naruto finally broached the subject of his gun's unique capabilities with the Hokage. He explained the concept of a rail gun, inspired by the manga Black Cat. The Hokage, though internally skeptical about the feasibility of such a device, acknowledged the Uzumaki bloodline's knack for making the impossible possible. He then proceeded to teach Naruto the lightning affinity exercise, powering a light bulb using only lightning chakra. The Hokage warned him that this would be incredibly challenging, almost impossible, given Naruto's primary wind affinity, the opposite of lightning. Yet, this didn't deter the determined blonde, who was adamant about developing a powerful gun technique. He assigned another 100 clones to the task. Fortunately, he didn't need to purchase light bulbs, his clones could conjure them from thin air using chakra magic. The third week of training focused on applying Naruto's bloodline in battle scenarios. Thankfully, his clones successfully materialized the chakra chains from his mother's lineage, though the Hokage noted they felt considerably weaker than Kushina's original version. His abilities were pushed to their limits during their morning spars. Naruto was forced to integrate his creation ability with telekinesis, spontaneously generating weapons and launching them with fierce determination at the experienced leader. Knives, swords, spears, and other armaments materialized and flew across the training ground, demonstrating Naruto's subconscious mastery of telekinesis after 2 months of consistent practice, unlocking new heights and powerful weapons. Speaking of telekinesis, by the 4th week, Naruto's control had advanced to the point where he could levitate himself. He unconsciously unlocked this ability when the Hokage launched him skyward with a powerful kick, only for a clone to appear mid-air and punch him back towards the ground. Fearing a messy end, he instinctively halted his descent, floating 5 feet above the earth. This excited the Hokage immensely, who immediately ordered Naruto to experiment with this newfound ability during his afternoon specialization sessions. The young Jinchuriki embraced the challenge, finding flight exhilarating, and soon their training ground buzzed with clones zipping through the air, much to the Hokage's amusement. The 5th week marked the triumphant debut of the railgun. Naruto was grateful that the technique didn't demand advanced lightning chakra manipulation, as his gun's inherent properties and seals significantly magnified the minimal lightning chakra he channeled into it. Naruto and Kurama discovered that the gun's chakra metal construction allowed it to store electricity. When fired as a regular chakra bullet, the lightning chakra would encase it, increasing its coating's durability tenfold. Simultaneously, the electricity running through the gun acted as an accelerator, boosting the propelling force by 20 times. Once discharged, the electricity-reinforced bullet would travel at cage-level speeds, piercing through anything in its path due to its strengthened coating. When tested, both Naruto and the Hokage watched in awe as the bullet streaked from the gun, piercing 15 trees before finally exploding on the 16th. However, despite its immense power, the railgun had its drawbacks. First, it required a considerable amount of time for Naruto to generate sufficient lightning chakra to power it. Experiments revealed each gun needed 2 minutes of charging before firing. Second, unlike Naruto's twin explosion technique, the railgun could not be overcharged, it was simply a regular chakra bullet reinforced with lightning chakra. Despite these limitations, Naruto was overjoyed with this potent addition to his arsenal. During the 6th week of training, Naruto acquired a few wind techniques from his excursions into the shinobi section of the Konoha library. He selectively chose techniques that would complement his existing, limited jutsu repertoire. His first acquisition was Futon Grand Breakthrough, a C-rank technique that unleashed a massive gust of wind capable of disorienting and knocking enemies off their feet, unless they anchored themselves with chakra. It also served as an excellent diversion for follow-up attacks with his guns. He also learned Futon Wind Blades, another C-rank technique that generated multiple sharp wind blades, capable of inflicting minor to medium wounds. He specifically chose this as his arsenal lacked any slicing attacks, his gun's abilities primarily focusing on piercing or explosions. It was in the final week of training that Naruto finally mastered the minor chakra chains inherited from his mother. He could now conjure chains from his hands, capable of binding or attacking enemies from close to mid-range. He further enhanced the technique by integrating a kunai-like blade at the tip of the chain, boosting its offensive capabilities. Kurama recalled a manga Naruto's clones had read, featuring a ninjuser who employed chains attached to his hands. While he couldn't replicate all the ninjuser's diverse abilities, the capacity to spontaneously create durable chains would prove invaluable in Naruto's future career. With this inspiration, Naruto resolved to revisit Kaido in the future once a solid plan was in place. The 2 months of training proved incredibly fruitful for Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. While he didn't learn a vast number of new techniques, the Hokage successfully refined his existing abilities to the point where he could genuinely challenge the old man, though Naruto still consistently lost. The Hokage's vision, the Takebutsu Brigade. Sarutobi Hiruzen contentedly relaxed in the vibrating chair Naruto had created for him, as his clones tirelessly churned through paperwork. The 2-month vacation spent training Naruto had been a profound experience for the aged leader. It wasn't every day one witnessed a new bloodline in action, and Naruto's chakra magic defied all known logic, offering boundless potential for improvement. His gaze lingered on a folder he had prepared a year prior, when he first learned of Naruto's unique ability. He knew that Naruto's bloodline would not be well received by the council. This was precisely why he had decided to form his own private team of shinobi, reporting solely to him, the Takebutsu Brigade. The Takebutsu Brigade would be a 3-person team, each member possessing unique abilities. Naruto, due to his bloodline, would automatically be a part of this squad. The second member would be Mitarashi Anko, a Takebutsu Jonin trained by the rogue Orochimaru. Her expertise in stealth and assassination would perfectly complement the team. Last but not least was Yakumo from the minor Kurama clan. While the Kurama clan was renowned for its genjutsu specialists, Yakumo stood out. She could effortlessly weave illusions, even escalating their techniques to a point where the illusions became tangible reality. With these three in mind, the Takebutsu Brigade would be complete, serving him well in the future. Anko would cover close to mid-range combat, while Naruto provided mid to long-range capabilities. Yakumo could compensate for the team's lack of genjutsu or, with proper training, even serve as a medic nin. The only remaining obstacle was Yakumo herself. Her abilities were currently sealed, and she was confined to her clan compound due to a possessing demon. If this team was to materialize, he needed to call in a seal master to address the issue and permanently remove the possession. He might even summon Tsunade, trusting her to train Yakumo in medical techniques, but the challenge lay in enticing her back to the village. For now, he needed some of the members to meet and perhaps foster a bond for the team's future stability. He pressed a button on his desk, and Nico instantly appeared before him, kneeling. "You called, Hokage-sama," Nico said. "Thank you for coming, Nico. I need you to locate Mitarashi Anko and instruct her to report to my office as soon as possible," the Hokage ordered. Nico nodded and vanished from the room. "Now, to write a letter to my wayward student," the Hokage mused, pulling a blank scroll from a drawer. Graduation day approaches. Time skip, Naruto, age 13, 5th academy year. In a spacious house, encircled by a tall brick fence, within what was formerly Training Ground 43 and adjacent to the Forest of Death, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto awoke, preparing for the day's significant event. Today was the graduation exam, and he intended to pass with flying colors, officially becoming a genin of Konoha. The new Namikaze Uzumaki estate was expansive, encompassing the entirety of the former training ground, which he had purchased from the Hokage using half of his inherited funds. He had constructed the estate himself, leveraging his creation and transformation abilities, along with 1,000 shadow clones, to complete it within a week. The house, or mansion, as Hokage called it, boasted 15 bedrooms, each with its own bathroom, 5 guest rooms, a sprawling training ground in the back with gated access to the Forest of Death, a game room, a library, currently with few books, though Naruto vowed to fill it when time and resources allowed, and, of course, a study located in the underground level of the estate, where he typically conducted his numerous projects and experiments. Naruto rolled out of his 4-poster bed and headed straight for the bathroom, anticipating a hot shower to invigorate him for the day. His meeting with the Hokage yesterday had been cryptic, to say the least. All he gathered was to proceed with the test without holding back his abilities and to expect a surprise upon graduation. He recalled grinning broadly when the Hokage gave him permission to go all out. He was thrilled to finally shed the veil of secrecy, though he had voiced concerns about the council discovering his powers. The aged leader, however, assured him that it was already taken care of. The 2 years following his initial 2-month training with the Hokage were dedicated to honing his existing abilities, cultivating new ones, and, naturally, extensive experimentation on various projects, many of which he had successfully completed with the assistance of Kurama and Kaido of Higurashi weapons. After an hour of relaxing in the bathtub, he emerged from the shower, dried himself with a plush towel, and moved to his walk-in closet, where he appraised himself in a large, full-length mirror. His physical training had yielded remarkable results. He now stood at 5 feet 4 inches, well-muscled yet lean, clearly built for speed and agility. His training with chakra weights ensured that his musculature possessed ample strength to support him in any encounters he might face as a full-fledged leaf shinobi. In his palms rested 2 storage seals, containing his prized guns, ebony and ivory. He had trained extensively with them over the years, confident that his skill rivaled that of Train Heartnet from Black Cat, though he couldn't objectively gauge the protagonist's prowess since it was a fictional realm. In his other hand were another set of storage seals holding his chakra chain armlets, 5 rings connected to a wrist bracer with chains, all crafted from chakra metals for easier control and access to his mother's unique ability. These metals were inscribed with seals for enhanced control, durability, and reduced chakra consumption during extended battles. His face and body were devoid of fat, a testament to his daily physical regimen. His blonde hair had grown out, now reaching the middle of his back. He effortlessly dried and braided it with a simple thought. Thanks to Kurama's training program, he had seamless access to his chakra magic bloodline, which responded to his thoughts without the need for gestures, though he still enjoyed a dramatic hand wave now and then when utilizing it, finding it cool. Turning to one of the closets, he pulled out a box revealing a set of clothes and gear he had never worn before. These were special creations, reserved solely for his graduation and for when he officially became a Konoha genin. He donned his new attire and surveyed himself in the mirror. His outfit comprised a dark blue shirt and black cargo pants. He wore black combat boots with steel toe caps. On his thighs, 2 gun holsters were adorned with seals encircling the Konoha leaf symbol. He completed his ensemble with a black, high-collared trench coat featuring the orange spiral symbol on the back. This outfit was exceptionally special, the result of countless hours of experimentation. It was lined with durability seals to ensure it withstood the rigors of shinobi life. The trench coat was particularly unique, as he had incorporated the seals from his chakra weights into its hem, making it weighted for his daily training. Naturally, it also included durability seals to withstand harsh treatment. Pleased with his appearance, he unsealed ebony and ivory, sliding them into the holsters on his thighs. Simultaneously, he unsealed his chakra chain bracelets. Overall, he presented an imposing figure, and he liked it. Chuckling at the thought of surprising his academy classmates, he left his room and made his way to the kitchen for breakfast. Upon entering, he saw Anko seated at the dining table, sipping coffee and reading the morning newspaper. Naruto first encountered Mitarashi Anko a year ago in the Forest of Death, during a sparring session with his clones. Initially hostile about his intrusion into her domain, Anko's demeanor shifted once Naruto explained his training needs. They quickly bonded over a shared passion, causing significant destruction. Their subsequent sparring sessions became a mutual journey of growth and enjoyment. A year later, when Naruto completed his soon-to-be clan house, he invited Anko to live with him, given the ample space. She initially resisted, unaccustomed to cohabiting with a man in such a large house, but eventually agreed as their bond deepened into a comfortable, sibling-like relationship. Morning, Anko Nichan. You're up early, Naruto greeted, heading to the counter for coffee. With a casual flick of his telekinesis, 3 cups of ramen floated over from across the room, and a pot of water settled onto the stove to boil. Want anything for breakfast? He asked the jonin. Naruto had no qualms about revealing his abilities to Anko, trusting her completely. Besides, she'd witnessed his bloodline training in the Forest of Death both before and after their first meeting. She even confessed to being the one who reported him to the Hokage for turning the forest into his private training ground, given her deep attachment to it. No thanks, Gaki. Just got back from a mission, actually. Planning to relax today. Already downed a dozen dango, so I'm good, Anko replied, taking a sip of her coffee. Ready for the exams today? Absolutely. I've been ready for years. Thank Kami that Jiji told me to cut loose, or I'd still be holding back, Naruto responded, settling in front of Anko and taking a sip of his own brew as he waited for the water. Anko gave him an amused smirk. So you're going to show off today, huh? Give em hell, Gaki. I don't want to hear from my peers that Anko's adopted brother isn't doing well, the jonin said with a grin. Connections and comrades. Naruto's close relationship with the snake mistress introduced him to several high-ranking kunoichi, including Yui Kurane, Konoha's genjutsu mistress, Uzuki Yujeo, Konoha's blade mistress, and Inyazuka Hana with her canine partners, the 3 Himura brothers. He wasn't bothered that his sister's friends were all female. Anko had explained that their group, known as the Ice Princesses of Konoha, deliberately avoided male members to deter persistent perverts. Don't worry, Nei-chan, I'll make you proud today. Besides, Jiji told me to go all out, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do, whether others like it or not, he declared. He paused, a thought striking him. I'm sure some in class won't be too happy seeing the real me in action, though, he finished with a snicker. He anticipated confrontations during the exams, especially since he'd begun subtly showcasing his abilities during his final year at the academy. Indeed, with the Hokage's blessing, Naruto had started demonstrating some of his power in his final academy year. His grades soared, and he remained undefeated in spars. To his annoyance, Uchiha Sasuke began hounding him for insights into his newfound strength, a pursuit Naruto usually dodged with a few well-chosen words and a timely teleportation when out of sight. Of course, with the Uchiha making his life a living hell, his fan club followed suit, particularly Haruno Sakura. She wasn't too bothersome until she unleashed her irritating screech. Naruto was often tempted to silence her with his chakra magic, but the Kyuubi always intervened, reminding him that revealing his powers to the loudest girl in class wasn't the best strategy for secrecy. His final year at the academy also brought new friendships with the clan heirs. He became best friends with Kiba, Shikamaru, Koji, and Hinata. He had a passing acquaintance with Shino, but couldn't fault the quiet, insect-controlling boy for his reserved nature, often offering only 1- or 2-word responses. Still, Shino was a welcome, if silent, addition to their group, though he rarely joined them during free time. The only clan heir he didn't befriend was Yamanaka Ino, who, in their 3rd year, had become a devoted Uchiha fangirl, developing a rivalry with Sakura. Naturally, Naruto avoided Ino like the plague. Good. I want to see you by the end of the day wearing a leaf headband, Anko declared with such passion that Naruto couldn't help but grin. Silence settled between them as they savored the quiet morning. Naruto finished his ramen, while Anko continued reading the paper. He quickly cleaned up, bid farewell to Anko with a kiss on the cheek, and teleported out of the kitchen, heading for the academy. Exam day commences. Naruto rematerialized on the academy rooftop, the only place he could use his ability undetected. He peered over the edge, spotting a secluded, empty area. He teleported again, then walked toward the Konoha Shinobi Academy's front yard and into the examination room where the graduation class would take their tests. He opened the door to find only a few classmates present. It was still early, so he calmly walked in, ascending the stairs where Shikamaru was napping and Koji was busy munching on his endless supply of chips. "Yo," he greeted his longtime friends. "Hi, Naruto. You're early today. Nice outfit," Koji said between bites. Naruto grinned, placing his hands on his hips. "You like it? Made it especially for today. Besides, I need a new outfit when I become a genin of Konoha," Naruto declared. "Troublesome blonde. Do you have to be so loud?" Shikamaru grumbled, roused from his nap. Naruto smirked back. "Lazy as ever, Shika. I think you're lazy enough to go to your own funeral," Naruto teased with a grin. "Shut up," Shikamaru retorted, stretching to work out the kinks in his neck before yawning. He eyed Naruto, noticing the guns on his thighs. "What are those things?" "Oh, these?" Naruto gestured to his weapons. "These are my guns. Guys, meet Ebony, the black one, and Ivory, the white." Koji eyed the guns curiously, then a sudden realization sparked in his eyes. "Wait a minute. Those guns look familiar. Aren't those from that manga you read a few years back?" he asked incredulously. Naruto grinned, pulling Ebony from its holster and holding it out to Koji. "Of course. I reverse engineered it from the manga and finally completed these babies 3 years ago. Only just brought them out now. No point in hiding them anymore, right?" "You mean they actually work?" "Of course. Let me demonstrate," the blonde Jinchuriki answered, aiming his gun at a vase on the teacher's desk. He channeled a small amount of chakra for a low-powered bullet and pulled the trigger. A small blue chakra bullet shot from Ebony's tip, hitting the vase and causing it to shatter. Everyone stared at the destruction in a mix of awe and fear. "See? It works. Damn, I should get me some of that," Koji shouted, his chips forgotten as he stared longingly at the smoking gun in Naruto's grip. Naruto shook his head, returning the gun to its holster. "Sorry, Koji. Clan secret," he apologized to his friend. Seeing the shattered vase, he waved a hand, effortlessly repairing it as good as new. Everyone's jaws dropped, while Shikamaru murmured, "Troublesome," under his breath. "Okay, you have to tell me how you did that, Naruto," the Akimichi pressed. "That's my bloodline. Not much time to explain it now, guys, but I will in the future." "Okay?" Koji and Shikamaru shrugged, returning to their respected habits, Shikamaru sleeping, Koji eating. Naruto gave them a knowing grin, sat beside the lazy Nara, and closed his eyes to relax. The written exam and beyond. An hour later, Irika and Mizuki entered the testing area to facilitate the graduation exam for the genin hopefuls. The first part was the written exam, eliciting groans from his classmates. Mizuki distributed the papers, ensuring Naruto received his last, leaving with a glare. Naruto scrutinized the paper, noticing something amiss. It looked like an ordinary test, but the questions were for Chunin-level shinobi. He cursed under his breath, then detected a trace of chakra on the paper. "Genjutsu, huh?" Naruto thought, sending a small burst of his own chakra into the paper, effectively dispelling the illusion and revealing the correct genin-level questions. "Looks like Mizuki's up to his old tricks again," Kyubi mused, having seen the illusion immediately but remained silent to observe Naruto's reaction. His container, fortunately, didn't disappoint. "Meh, I wouldn't put it past him to stop now. He's been trying to disrupt my education for all 5 years I've been at the academy," he said, easily answering the questions, thanks to his nightly reading at the Konoha library. Naruto was amused by his teacher's persistent, yet futile, attempts to fail him. He'll realize his plan failed. "I think his next step will be to change your answers so you'll end up with a failing grade," Kyubi mused in his mindscape. "Not if I have anything to say about it," Naruto grumbled. He finished his test within 30 minutes, giving him the rest of the hour to relax. He used his pen to trace a stasis seal on the paper's edge, pushing a little chakra into it to activate. There. Now, anything written on the paper before the seal was placed and activated can't be changed. "What seal was that?" the fox asked curiously. He'd seen the seal Naruto placed, but its purpose eluded him. "That was a stasis seal from my dad's book. It preserves the object after the seal is placed. In other words, my answers will stay on the page until I remove the seal. They can add anything else, but the original text remains." "Ingenious, right?" Naruto explained with a mental grin. "Indeed. The Yandane was quite a genius with seals. Did you finish all his books?" Kyubi inquired. "Yeah, I did, but I need to be tested to determine my exact level. The only person who can do that is Ero-Sennin, but he's currently out of the village," Naruto said, thinking of the white-haired pervert he'd met a year ago, introduced by the Hokage. He learned that Jiraiya was his dad's sensei, who trained him to become one of the elemental nation's most powerful shinobi. He also discovered Jiraiya was his godfather but couldn't care for him due to his duties as a spymaster outside the village. However, even without direct care, Jiraiya sent enough money to cover Naruto's allowance. Naruto immediately forgave him, being too mature to hold a grudge, but he detested his godfather's perverted nature, or super pervert as he liked to boast, which once earned him a low-powered bullet to the balls from Ivory. When is he planning to come back? Not sure, but Jiji told me the pervert will return to Konoha during this year's Chunin exams. So I guess I'll ask him then to test my exact rank in seals. They lapsed into silence, waiting for the test to conclude. It wasn't long before Iruka called for everyone to stop and Mizuki began collecting papers. Mizuki's eyes bulged when he reached Naruto, seeing his completed test, answers intact. He leveled an intense glare at the serenely smiling Jinchuriki. Once a sullen Mizuki finished collecting all the papers, Iruka directed the class outside to the academy's adjoining training ground for the next phase of the graduation exam, weapons throwing, weapons proficiency and taijutsu trials. For Naruto, the exam was rather dull. It was quite predictable who would excel and who would struggle, as he'd already assessed who would pass. Naturally, the clan heirs were secure, having their families to train them in the necessary skills. Uchiha Sasuke, despite lacking family training, received ample guidance from various shinobi eager to aid his growth. Naruto also knew Sakura would pass despite her loud, fangirl personality. She possessed the book smarts for the written exam, average skills in taijutsu and weapons, and excellent chakra control, which guaranteed her success in the basic academy jutsu requirement. Uzumaki Naruto, Iruka called out. Naruto pushed off the tree he was leaning against and approached his favorite sensei, who smiled and handed him 10 kunao. Okay, Naruto. I want you to throw these kunao at the target indicated on the training dolls. You'll get a point for each kunao that hits the target. Accuracy is key here. Ready? The dolphin named Chunin asked his student. Naruto nodded, spreading his feet to center himself. After a deep breath, his hands blurred, throwing one kunao after another, hitting the target with pinpoint accuracy. His gun training had honed his eyesight and accuracy immensely. He could easily hit a target at 200 meters with his guns, and half that range for throwing weapons. Iruka's jaw dropped as Naruto rapidly threw the kunao, hitting every target dead on. He shakily congratulated Naruto on a perfect score for kunao throwing before handing him 10 shuriken with the same instructions for another doll. Deciding to add some flair this time, Naruto held 5 shuriken in each hand and took his stance. He threw all the shuriken from his right hand with an overhand throw, immediately followed by those from his left. All the shuriken struck the center of the target simultaneously. Iruka shook his head, a smile spreading across his face. Great job, Naruto. You got a perfect score for both kunao and shuriken. Go back in line for the next part of the exam. With a grin, Naruto returned to his favorite tree to await his turn for the taijutsu portion of the exam. He noticed the Uchiha glaring at him, while the fangirls shouted accusations of cheating. He shrugged off their useless antics, leaned against the tree, and closed his eyes. You couldn't help yourself, could you? The snickering fox asked. Naruto knew exactly what his tenant was talking about. Of course not. Did you see their faces? If only I had a camera, I'd have taken a picture and framed it for my study, Naruto said with a grin. What are your plans for the taijutsu portion of the exam? The fox asked, curious what the blonde had in store for the instructors. I'm not sure. If it's Iruka-sensei, I'll tone it down since I don't want to hurt him. However, if it's Mizuki, I think I'll resort to Tai Chi, if it's allowed, Naruto mused. You should ask Iruka at the start of your match. I guess Mizuki will be sparring with you for the exam, given his apparent beef with you. You think? Naruto said sarcastically, stating the obvious to the fox. The taijutsu exam piqued Naruto's interest slightly, as he wanted to observe how his friends would fare in their matches. The rules were simple: academy instructors would spar with them, and genin hopefuls needed to last 5 minutes to pass. It was understood that a genin couldn't defeat a trained chunin, so the exam merely tested their ability to hold their own. Naruto grinned when Mizuki announced that they weren't restricted to academy taijutsu, a direct jab at the clan heirs who had their own specialized styles to showcase. I guess I will be using Tai Chi after all. Mizuki just dug his own grave, Naruto said with an evil smirk that caused those around him to instinctively step back. Indeed. Give him hell, Kit, Kyubi replied, and Naruto nodded. The matches were quite interesting, to say the least. His friends seemed to be using their unique taijutsu styles to make their bouts more engaging. Shino employed the basic academy style but with a slight variation common to Obarame due to their longer reach. He landed a few good hits on Iruka, who managed to dodge the rest despite the range difference. Naturally, he survived 5 minutes and passed. Koji, on the other hand, fought with the finesse of a bulldozer, overpowering his punches. Mizuki carefully dodged, knowing a single hit would likely knock him out, as Akimichi were renowned powerhouses in taijutsu. The 5-minute mark passed with Koji succeeding and Mizuki sighing in relief, unharmed. Sakura was a surprise. Coming from a civilian background, she used the academy-style taijutsu. However, she managed to utilize the style effectively, using her small build to avoid Irika's hits. Naruto could see his favorite sensei was taking it easy on her, much to his amusement. When it was Hineda's turn, Naruto couldn't help but marvel at the graceful movements of the Juken. However, there seemed to be an underlying solidity to the stance that felt off for the typically flexible girl. He also noticed a passing resemblance between Juken and his Tai Chi, briefly wondering if his style was Juken's original form, but dismissed it as irrelevant. The match ended with Hineda passing, Irika's shoulder temporarily immobilized from a lucky hit. Kiba's spar was next, and Naruto grinned at the massacre unfolding. With his Ninken, allowed, as an Inyazuka fights with their companion and it's part of their taijutsu, Mizuki struggled to dodge the twin tornadoes of claws and wind from both Kiba and Akamaru. The match concluded when Kiba landed a well-placed punch to Mizuki's stomach, knocking the wind out of him. Shikamaru's fight was anticlimactic. True to his lazy nature, Shika simply dodged without bothering to attack. He passed on a technicality, lasting the entire 5 minutes without being hit by Irika. At the match's end, Naruto pondered if the entire Nara clan were dodging experts, or if it was just one of Shikamaru's quirks. Next was the Uchiha, the supposed prodigy. Simply put, Mizuki threw the match, giving Suzuki a free pass and deliberately slowing his attacks. Suzuki felled him in 2 minutes with a well-placed uppercut, winning the match. Naruto merely grunted at the obvious bias. Of course, the Uchiha fan club erupted in cheers for their idol's victory. It was supposed to be his turn next, but thanks to Mizuki's meddling, Ino was called first, her opponent being Irika. Naruto had to admit, Mizuki played Irika perfectly to ensure he'd be Naruto's opponent. After another boring battle where Ino survived for 5 minutes, it was finally his turn. He immediately stepped into the ring to face Mizuki when Irika called his name. Instead of the Academy Taijutsu, Naruto settled into an advanced, defense-focused Tai Chi form. Thanks to his training with Anko, Naruto could effortlessly switch between offensive and defensive Tai Chi styles. When Irika signaled the start of the match, Mizuki immediately lunged at the blonde with Chunin level speed, shocking Irika. But Naruto saw it clearly, as if Mizuki were standing still, thanks to his spars with the Hokage and Anko. He swept aside a punch aimed at his face and immediately launched a palm thrust counter, hitting Mizuki in the chest and pushing him back several feet. Naruto grinned at the gasping Mizuki, deciding to play around for a bit. Mizuki attacked with renewed vigor, throwing punches and kicks, hoping to damage the blonde Jinchuriki. But Naruto calmly dodged and parried the blows with an ease that further enraged the white-haired Chunin. Kuwabai informed Naruto he had only 20 seconds left. The blonde immediately switched to offense and lunged, catching Mizuki off guard. He jumped as Mizuki launched a clumsy leg sweep, then lashed out with a swift right kick that connected with the instructor's face. Not letting up, Naruto used the kick's momentum to spin and backhand Mizuki in the same area with enough force to send him flying out of the ring. The match ended with the entire student body in stunned silence. A genin had just knocked a Chunin out of the ring with 2 well-placed hits, and it was clear to his friends that Mizuki hadn't been holding back. The silence was broken when Irika announced Naruto as the winner. Graduation exam, the aftermath. Everyone returned to the testing room, anticipating the final segment of the graduation exam, ninjutsu. A brief delay ensued as Mizuki, rendered unconscious by Naruto's chakra-enhanced punch, had to be carried to the nurse's office for revival. Unbeknownst to them, Naruto had channeled chakra magic to amplify his strength, ensuring a definitive blow against the treacherous shinobi. 30 minutes later, Irika re-entered, with a visibly irate Mizuki in tow. Mizuki was seething, his plot to fail the blonde Jinchuriki having spectacularly backfired. Adding insult to injury, he'd been knocked out by an academy student who hadn't even reached genin rank. He inwardly swore revenge, determined to sabotage Naruto in the next portion of the exam. Quiet, everyone. Irika's shout quickly brought the rowdy students to order. Thank you. The final part of your exam is ninjutsu. You'll each be called forward to demonstrate the 3 fundamental academy jutsus taught here at the Konoha Shinobi Academy: Henge no Jutsu, Kawarimi no Jutsu, and Bunshin no Jutsu. When your name is called, please come to the front and show us your mastery of these basic techniques. As the exam progressed, Naruto observed a high failure rate among the civilian students. Some struggled with the intricate details of their henge, while others failed to properly substitute themselves with an object using kawarimi. However, many successfully performed the Bunshin no Jutsu, as it required less precision to create an illusionary clone. Naturally, the clan heirs, meticulously trained by their families, flawlessly executed the techniques, upholding their clan's honor. A few even incorporated unique variations of their family techniques, like Shino, who used a bug Bunshin instead of the standard illusionary one. Most students managed to create a single clone. Suzuki, however, effortlessly produced 5. Naruto doubted this was purely due to competency. The Uchiha possessed above-average chakra reserves from constant training, and his usual lack of control would have made a single clone disastrous. Instead, he must have deliberately distributed his energy to create 5 stable, albeit weaker, clones rather than one overpowered, unstable one. As expected, Suzuki's fangirls erupted in a cacophony of praise, much to the blonde Jinchuriki's quiet amusement. Naruto's turn and Anko's arrival. Naruto's name was called immediately after the self-proclaimed prodigy. He rose from his seat and approached the 2 instructors, one eyeing him with amusement, the other with simmering hatred. Ignoring the latter, Naruto offered Iruka a polite smile. "All right, Naruto. To pass this part of the exam, you need to first use Henge no Jutsu, then Kawarimi, and finally, create a Bunshin. Understood?" Iruka asked, his voice serious, clipboard perpetually in hand. "Gotcha, Iruka-sensei. Let's do this." "Henge," Naruto declared. A puff of smoke enveloped him, dissipating moments later to reveal Mitarashi Anko in all her seductive glory, which, for her, meant minimal attire. Both Iruka and Mizuki instantly erupted in perverted nosebleeds. Intent on causing more mayhem for his teachers, Naruto adopted Anko's mannerisms. He suggestively licked his lips, a gesture that, in his Anko disguise, proved too much. Iruka and Mizuki were propelled backward by another massive nosebleed, sending the rest of the class into roars of laughter. Naruto dispelled the henge, smirking at the 2 prostrate shinin. After recovering and wiping the blood from their noses, the 2 instructors glared at the blonde for making fools of them. "Next time, try to pick a more simple henge, Naruto. But good job anyway. That was a perfect transformation. I wonder how you got the details so perfectly," Iruka mused, a small blush creeping onto his cheeks. Naruto's eyebrow twitched. It seemed Iruka harbored feelings for his adopted sister. Another opportunity for chaos presented itself, and the blonde inwardly smirked. "Well, she often hangs out at my place, or we spar when time permits." "Why do you ask, Iruka-sensei?" he innocently queried his mildly blushing instructor. He wasn't about to reveal that his adopted sister was living in his soon-to-be clan house. That would trigger a wildfire of rumors. He had to protect his sister's interests, after all. "Oh, nothing. Just curious, that's all. Now, please perform your Kawarimi," Iruka quickly interjected, flustered by Naruto's knowing smirk. Naruto nodded, quickly weaved the required seals, and channeled his chakra to swap places with someone specific. In Naruto's place stood Mitarashi Anko, in the process of removing her coat to reveal a chain mesh shirt that barely concealed her skin. She wore no bra. "What the heck am I doing here?" she bellowed, surveying the room. The girls glared, while the boys blushed profusely. Mizuki suffered another nosebleed, and Iruka was as red as a tomato. Anko turned to Iruka, her glare accusing. "Well," she demanded, her voice promising untold pain if no answer was given. Before he could respond, Anko vanished, replaced by a smirking Naruto. "Damn, I thought she was still in the kitchen, but I guess she was about to change into her sleeping clothes." "Oh well," Naruto mused, his smirk unwavering. Iruka simply glared at the blonde, knowing full well it was intentional. "Naruto, for your final test, please perform a Bunshin. This time, do it properly, and no pranks," Iruka demanded, his voice testy. "Prank? Who, me? Never." Naruto feigned innocence, but a slight twitch of his lips betrayed his lie. "Just do the test so we can get this over with," Iruka stated, a tone that promised violence if disobeyed. "Fine. You guys can't take a joke. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu," Naruto shouted. 10 identical Narutos materialized behind the original. Iruka and Mizuki stared in shock. The boy, a mere academy student, had just created 10 shadow clones without a hint of exhaustion. Right, you pass, Naruto," Iruka stammered, desperate to end the day and numb the shock with alcohol. Mizuki, however, had other plans. "Wait, Iruka. Naruto didn't perform the required clones. He's supposed to do a Bunshin, not a Kage Bunshin," Mizuki explained, his voice overly sweet. "What do you mean, Mizuki?" "There's no such rule," Iruka began, but Naruto cut him off. "Well, there's no rule stating an academy student can't use Kage Bunshin, or any Bunshin for that matter. In fact, if my version of Bunshin isn't acceptable, then Shino should have failed too because of the different technique he used. Besides, the Hokage explained that I couldn't hope to create a regular Bunshin due to my large chakra reserves, unless I had control like Tsunade of the Sunin," Naruto explained in a businesslike tone. Iruka nodded in understanding, while Mizuki scowled, his plan thwarted once again. "He's correct, Mizuki," Iruka confirmed, then smiled at Naruto. "Congratulations, Naruto. You've passed the exam. Please take your headband from the desk and return to your seat for some final instructions." Naruto happily nodded, picked a black Konoha headband from the pile, and tied it on. As he turned to go back to his seat, a cold shiver ran down his spine, a premonition of something terrible. His thoughts were cut short when the testing room door exploded inward, revealing a bloodthirsty Anko clutching a kunao. Her eyes scanned the room, finally locking onto a terrified blonde. She unleashed the most sadistic grin she could muster, scaring everyone in the room. Hold it right there, Gaki. You've got some explaining to do, Anko purred, her bloodthirsty smile widening as she licked the tip of her kunao, causing many men in the room to discreetly adjust their pants. With a frightened squeak, Naruto turned to Irika, blurted out a bye, and instantly teleported away, shocking everyone in the room except the enraged snake mistress. Anko was about to pursue him, but Irika intervened. Anko-san, please inform Naruto to be here tomorrow for team placement at 10 a.m., and try not to hurt him too much, please? Irika sighed. Anko gave Irika a sweet smile before patting his cheek, causing the academy instructor to blush bright red. Don't worry, Irika-kun. I won't hurt him much, she said sweetly, before using Shunshin to vanish, setting off to scour the village for the blonde prankster. The Hokage's amusement and Naruto's predicament. The Hokage, currently enjoying the relaxation of a massage chair while his clones handled the day's paperwork, was jolted from his reverie by a loud wail echoing from the forest of death. No, not there, not there. The Hokage looked toward the forest, then activated his crystal ball to observe his favorite blonde. What he witnessed made him pale, clutching his crotch as if in pain. He shuddered. Better him than me, he whispered, deactivating the technique to spare himself the gruesome sight. Naruto limped his way to his old classroom for team placement. Anko's punishment for his prank yesterday was inhumane. He would have preferred a beating, bruises, being fed to her snake summons, or even a few puncture wounds. Heck, he'd even consent to being barbecued, knowing the Kyuubi would heal him within hours. But no! His adopted sister, in her sadistic wisdom, had chosen groin kicks as the most inhumane, demonic, and utterly sadistic punishment any female could inflict on the opposite sex. This was why he was limping towards his usual seat, grateful he'd arrived exceptionally early to avoid his peers. He painfully lowered himself into his chair and conjured a frigid ice pack for his privates, dulling the pain. He sighed, feeling the numbness alleviate some, though not all, of the agony, making it bearable. Lost in his discomfort, he didn't notice Shikamaru and Chuji approaching his favorite spot, their gazes filled with pity. Troublesome blonde. If you hadn't pulled that prank yesterday, you wouldn't be suffering right now, the Nara heir drawled lazily, devoid of remorse. Yeah, man. You must have a death wish to do something like that, Chuji added, a faint blush on his face as he recalled Anko's figure from the previous day. Naruto groaned, leveling his friends with a look that plainly conveyed drop it or else. Both shrugged, settling silently beside the blonde to await the arrival of the other genin and the start of team placement. Q, why is the healing taking so long? Naruto mentally queried the Kyuubi, wincing as a sudden pain lanced through him when he shifted. I'm doing my best, Kit. What that sadistic wench did to you was monstrous, Kyuubi responded, shuddering. Even as the all-powerful Kyuubi no Kitsune, he was male and understood the agony of being kicked in the testicles, repeatedly. Is there any way for me to speed up the process? Maybe use my chakra magic to fully heal it, or at least numb the pain, a desperate, pain-ridden blonde asked. No? Was that a question? Yes. I mean, no. You can't use your bloodline for this since you haven't studied anatomy. The human body is too complicated to mess with. You might do something wrong and permanently destroy any future chance of having your own family, Kyuubi explained, channeling every bit of chakra he could to the afflicted area to heal his container. Naruto winced, but the sudden surge of chakra caused another wave of pain from his groin. Ouch! Naruto groaned. Man up, Kit. Why don't you man up after enduring 30 minutes of being kicked in the balls by a sadistic kunoichi? Touché. Remind me next time not to prank Anko Nichin, Naruto sighed, feeling a significant portion of the pain subside as Kyuubi's chakra finally worked its magic. I will. I don't think I'd survive another round of her punishment. Even I felt it here in the mindscape. I could have sworn some of the walls in your mind cracked from her onslaught, Kyuubi promised. Team placement and a secret message. An hour later, Irika arrived. Upon entering, he immediately cast a sympathetic glance at the blonde. He'd easily heard Naruto's agonizing screams from the forest of death the previous day and could only imagine the torture the boy had endured. After all, Anko was renowned within the torture and interrogation division as a sadistic interrogator, the best in the business. Irika stepped up to his desk and faced the chattering genin. All right, everyone. Quiet down, he instructed, then looked at his favorite blonde at the back of the room. Are you all right there, Naruto? He received only a groan, causing every male in the room to wince in shared understanding, having heard Naruto's screams yesterday. Any questions before I start with the team placement? Irika-sensei, where's Mizuki-sensei? Shouldn't he be here, since he's also our instructor? A random civilian student asked. Irika hesitated before answering. Mizuki-sensei is currently busy. He won't be able to attend this meeting, but don't worry. He's in great hands, Irika replied. The truth was, Mizuki had been apprehended around midnight for stealing the forbidden scroll from the Hokage's office. Fortunately, or unfortunately for Mizuki, Naruto's agonizing screams had caused Mizuki to freeze during his escape, allowing the pursuing Umbu to catch him. They successfully retrieved the scroll and placed Mizuki under the sadistic care of Marino Ibiki, who then instructed the Umbu to locate Anko in the Forest of Death, the very reason she'd halted her punishment of Naruto. Irika only prayed his former co-instructor would meet a swift end, knowing that duo could easily prolong the agony to extract every last bit of information from their prisoners. Any more questions? No? Then let's begin with team placement. Team 1 will be composed of. Naruto half listened as Irika rattled off the various teams and their respective sensei. It wasn't until Team 7 was announced that he was fully healed, thanks to the tireless work of his tenant, and coherent enough to pay close attention. He just prayed his inattentiveness hadn't caused him to miss his name. Team 7 will consist of Uchiha Sasuke, Harano Sakura, and Sai. Your Jonin sensei will be Heitei Kakashi. Sakura shrieked in delight as if she'd won the lottery. The male population winced at the volume, while the females felt a sudden pang of depression for not being partnered with their idol. Irika sensei, who's Sai? Suzuki asked, unfamiliar with any classmate by that name. Sai is last year's graduate who was held in reserve because he didn't have a team during his team placement. Now he's been assigned to your team, Irika explained, frowning slightly at something on his clipboard. Suzuki merely nodded, accepting the answer, before returning to his brooding. Team 8 will be Abarame Shino, Inyazuka Kiba, and Hayaga Hinata. Your sensei will be Ui Kurane. Team 9 is still active from last year's graduates. Team 10 will be Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru, and Akimichi Koji. Your sensei will be Sarutobi Asuma, Irika announced, placing his clipboard on the desk and letting his gaze settle on Naruto, who patiently awaited his name. Uzumaki Naruto, Hokage-sama informed me that you need to report to him ASAP for your team placement. He didn't specify why, but I received a note from him saying, it's connected to the thing we talked about 3 years ago, Irika explained, giving Naruto a questioning look. Naruto returned Irika's inquisitive stare, then his eyes widened as he recalled his recent conversation with the Hokage regarding a promise made when he attained genin rank. He finally understood the Hokage's message and nodded at Irika, signifying his comprehension. Can I go now, Irika-sensei? I need to see the Hokage immediately, Naruto pleaded. Irika shook his head, addressing the whole class. You are all now Konoha genin, so do your best and make the village proud. You're dismissed for lunch, but everyone except Naruto, return in an hour to meet your respective sensei. Naruto gave Irika a quick wave before vanishing from the room without a trace. Only Irika, Shikamaru, and Koji noticed, startled by the blonde's mysterious exit once again. Naruto reappeared in the Hokage's office and promptly greeted the elder. Hey, Jiji. I'm here. So, what are you planning to do? He trailed off, his face paling as he recognized the room's occupants. Standing before the Hokage was his adopted sister, Mitarashi Anko, sporting a bloodthirsty grin. Beside her was a beautiful girl, about 4 feet 9 inches, with brown hair and eyes, dressed in a purple battle kimono. She looked to be around Naruto's age. Hi, Anko Nichan, Naruto stammered, nervously eyeing the snake mistress. Her menacing grin faded, replaced by a smirk. How are you doing, Gaki? I see you've recovered quite nicely, Anko said, her gaze mischievously dropping to his groin. Just so you know, if you pull a stunt like that again, the next performance will be twice as good, she warned, her voice promising dire consequences. Naruto quickly nodded, relieved he wouldn't be suffering anytime soon. He could almost hear the Kyuubi silently thanking Kami in his mind. The aged Hokage decided to intervene before their bickering escalated. Thanks for coming so quickly, Naruto-kun. I take it you received my message from Irika? Naruto nodded. Why don't you sit down so I can tell you about your team? Naruto sat beside Anko, giving the Hokage his full attention. I imagine you're wondering why you weren't assigned to a typical genin team. The reason is simple, your unique abilities require you to be partnered with others who possess similar talents. You, Anko, and Yakumo here will form an elite team directly under my command. In essence, I will act as your sensei. You will receive all your missions directly from me and no one else. Any questions? Receiving no questions from the group, he handed each of them a blue folder and gestured for them to open it. Naruto saw it contained detailed files on himself, Anko, and Kurama Yakumo. These folders contain your personal files from the Shinobi Archive. I hold the only copy of your personal information, skills, and achievements, and no one else can access them. From today on, you three will be my special squad, the Takebutsu Brigade. Anko will be your team leader, and if she's incapacitated or on a personal mission, Naruto will be in charge. Naruto and Yakumo will be registered as Takebutsu Genin, while Anko retains her rank as Takebutsu Jounin. You still need one more member to complete your cell, but until I find the perfect candidate, you'll function as a 3-person unit for now, the Hokage concluded, puffing on his pipe. Jiji, what's a Takebutsu Genin, and how is it different from a regular Genin? Naruto asked, excited about being assigned directly under the Hokage but unfamiliar with his new rank. That's an excellent question. A Takebutsu rank is typically given to individuals who display rare abilities that set them apart from standard shinobi. For example, Anko here is a Takebutsu Jounin because she is a master of torture and interrogation, much like her partner Marino Ibiki. A shinobi receives a Takebutsu rank only from the Hokage, and it's reserved for those with skills vital to the village, the Hokage explained. Hokage-sama, may I ask a question? Came Kurama Yakumo's timid voice. After receiving a nod from her leader, she continued, what makes Naruto-san and me so special that you gave us a Takebutsu rank? I think that should be evident from the file you have, but I'll gladly explain. Let's start with you, Yakumo-chan. Your bloodline is predominantly geared towards genjutsu, making it easier for your family to utilize the skill. However, you've been given a Takebutsu rank because your bloodline has evolved to turn illusion into reality through genjutsu. Your case is similar to Naruto-kun's. His bloodline allows him to use his rare chakra to bend reality to his will, within reason, of course. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to demonstrate his bloodline to you during your training sessions with Anko, the Hokage said, adding the last part when a questioning look crossed the girl's face at the mention of Naruto's bloodline. What exactly do you mean when you say we'll play an integral role for the village, Jiji? The blonde Jinchuriki asked. It means you'll be taking on missions or tasks of a sensitive nature. Your mission profile will be flexible. The Takebutsu Brigade will be assigned various missions that I deem you ready for. You might be tasked with assassination, infiltration, backup, or even serving as frontline fighters during a war. Your group will be considered a combination of tracking, reconnaissance, attack, and demolition squad due to your individual abilities, the Hokage said with a smile, pleased that his group was asking insightful questions. Does this mean you'll be assigning us D-rank missions? Anko asked with distaste. The Hokage shook his head. No. The purpose of D-rank missions is to promote teamwork and camaraderie among genin on a team. However, you, Anko, will be in charge of training each other's skills for both teamwork and bonding. The methods are entirely up to you, as long as the missions I assign you are successful. Anko nodded, a smile on her face. She despised D-rank missions, viewing them as chores rather than actual assignments. She vowed to devise a program to test her team's ability to work together and establish a foundation for their skills to adapt to various mission types. Now, to further explain how the team will function, Anko specializes in stealth and assassination. Her techniques and abilities make her an excellent close to mid-range fighter. Her summons also complement her line of work well. Naruto, on the other hand, is capable of close, mid, and long-range fighting due to his versatile skill set, making him the most adaptable member of your team. Yakumo here will be your genjutsu specialist and medic. She was trained for a year by Tsunade after I summoned her back to the village, and Tsunade ranked Yakumo as mid-shinin to low jounin in medical skills. The third member I'll be adding to your team will serve as your ninjutsu specialist, but I don't have a candidate for the position yet. In the interim, all three of you are permitted to recommend anyone you deem suitable as your third member. If you're lucky, you might find someone to fill the spot before the Chunin exams in 6 months. So, when do we start missions, Hokage-sama? Anko asked. I think I'll give you a week to get your team ready with their teamwork. Submit a plan of your training program to me and provide daily progress reports. I will call on you when I deem you ready for a mission. Are there any other questions? He asked the group, proud of how each of them had turned out. Anko, Naruto, and Yakumo shook their heads, and the Hokage dismissed them to begin their team meeting. The Takebutsu Brigade operated like a well-oiled machine after 2 weeks under Anko's rigorous training program. Following their meeting with the Hokage, Naruto teleported his team to his home in Training Ground 43 so they could get to know each other better. It was more a case of Anko and Naruto introducing themselves to Yakumo, as the two had already known each other for over a year. As the homeowner, Naruto naturally cooked them a delicious lunch, earning many compliments from both females, much to his embarrassment. Afterward, they began their introductions to establish team dynamics. Naruto learned that Yakumo Kurama was his age and the sole heir of the Kurama clan. However, she had been possessed by an evil spirit at a young age, which occasionally took control of her body to attack people, usually by using her genjutsu talents on unsuspecting victims, subjecting them to the worst forms of mental torture that often left them with shattered minds. The final straw was when the spirit attacked her genjutsu teacher, Ui Korone, forcing the Hokage to seal her abilities so the demon couldn't use her talents to wreak havoc on her clan. This was also why she had been restricted to her room in the Kurama clan compound, to prevent her from harming the Konoha public. However, the Hokage brought in Jiraiya to seal the spirit deep within her mind, with no hope of escape, while simultaneously unsealing her abilities. Sealing was the best option since there was no way to expel it, as it was deeply anchored to her soul. After successfully sealing the malignant spirit, she was trained in basic shinobi skills before being apprenticed under Tsunade of the Sunin to learn medical arts, serving as both medic and genjutsu support for the Takebutsu Brigade. After nearly 2 years of training, Yakumo's shinobi capabilities were ranked mid-shinin without her genjutsu but bumped to mid-jounin when she utilized her abilities. Of course, she demonstrated her unique illusions to Naruto and Anko when they wanted to understand the uniqueness of her bloodline. They could never figure out how they got wet from a mere illusion. They talked for the rest of the day, mostly playing 20 questions. Anko and Naruto asked her personal questions, as well as those regarding her shinobi training. Yakumo, on the other hand, found Naruto's bloodline fascinating, so most of her questions were directed at the blonde. Anko didn't seem to mind, as she already had the file given to her by the Hokage to peruse later, and the 2-week training program would provide ample time to get to know their new teammate. The first week of training focused on understanding each other's abilities better, followed by teamwork exercises where Anko assigned them to hunt specific animals in the Forest of Death. Yakumo was a bit concerned about their training location, but Naruto assured her that the place was a home away from home for both him and Anko. While it didn't completely pacify her, she trusted her teammates enough to learn the ropes. Due to the distance between Yakumo's clan compound and training ground 44, Naruto, with the Hokage's blessing, asked Yakumo to move into his place to further improve their team dynamics. The genjutsu prodigy initially declined but finally relented after 2 days of commuting back and forth between the training ground and her home. Returning to training, once their teamwork was deemed acceptable by Anko, they moved on to individual skills and how to incorporate their abilities for combo attacks. Given the diverse skills at the Takebutsu Brigade's disposal, a multitude of combo attacks were devised to ensure they would be ready for any situation they might encounter. For starters, Anko and Naruto formed a devastating team. They discovered that the combination of Tai Chi and Snake style worked exceptionally well together. The fluidity of both styles allowed them to seamlessly transition from offense to defense at a moment's notice. This meant one could focus on offense while the other maintained defense, or vice versa. Naruto's accuracy was also a significant factor, as his gun skills made it easy to hit an opponent even while Anko engaged them in close combat. The blonde's chain attacks were also paired effectively with Yakumo's genjutsu ability. Naruto would disable the enemy while Yakumo would trap them in an illusion, either to incapacitate or kill, though Yakumo generally disliked taking a life. Naruto was desensitized to killing from his constant practice in the Forest of Death, but he couldn't deny that taking a human life would feel vastly different. Furthermore, due to his teammates, Naruto was compelled to refine his abilities to include them. He could now expand the size of his chakra shield to cover a wider area, in case he needed to protect his teammates from harm. He also discovered he could throw his chakra shield a relatively short distance to shield anyone he wished. This became apparent when Naruto, in desperation, surrounded Yakumo with a shield just as she was about to be struck by Anko's snake summon. Yakumo survived the attack, of course, but the snake ended up with a headache from the impact with the impenetrable barrier. He also improved his telekinesis to the point where he could now fly alongside his teammates, although he still maintained control. Anko proudly declared that this would significantly reduce travel time for missions outside the village. One ability Naruto possessed that Anko and Yakumo disliked was his teleportation. They found the sensation of being squeezed disorienting when Naruto practiced with them. The only solution they could devise was to get used to the feeling until they could ignore it. In the end, Naruto had fun taking the two on rides to random locations in Konoha until they no longer stumbled upon a rival. Weaknesses also emerged during their 2-week training session. Anko's primary weakness was her bloodlust. Once she engaged in a prolonged battle, her control would deteriorate to the point where her sole focus became bringing down her opponent with as much bloodshed as possible. Yakumo's weakness was her speed, though Anko vowed to counter that with more training, aided by Naruto's offer to craft chakra weights for her. Additionally, it seemed she required 100% concentration when casting a genjutsu on her opponent. Anko attributed this to a lack of experience and promised Yakumo that she would be able to focus her unique bloodline more effectively as she progressed as a kunoichi. Her most glaring weakness, however, was her low chakra reserves. Due to years of confinement, she lacked sufficient physical exercise, leaving her physical energy at an all-time low. Despite her training with Tsunade, her current reserves were only high genin level. Anko and Naruto assured her that she could easily boost her reserves once she underwent physical training with them. The glint and determination in Anko and Naruto's eyes when they mentioned physical training practically terrified the shy Kurama. Naruto's weaknesses were more related to his abilities than his physical skills. For instance, his transformation ability had one major flaw: it didn't work on people with chakra flowing through their system. This weakness was discovered when he tried to transform Anko's snake summons into a rabbit, only to fail. He tried it on Anko, secretly of course, but it didn't work, though Anko detected something alien entering her system. Thankfully, this discovery spared the blonde from punishment. Anko determined that chakra acts as a deterrent to Naruto's ability, and combined with the target's conscious control, it dictates whether Naruto can transform them. They theorized that the stronger the human, both in terms of chakra and control, the harder it would be to transform them, requiring more power from Naruto. With Naruto's current capabilities, he could easily change a genin shinobi, would have problems with a chinin, and it would be impossible on a jounin due to their experience with chakra. However, Kuwabai assured him that he would overcome this hurdle as his powers grew with age and experience. The Takebutsu Brigade was currently on its way to the Hokage's office to pick up their first mission after their 2-week training session. They decided against teleporting this time, opting for the physical exercise, especially since Yakumo had already begun her physical training, wearing a total of 40 pounds of chakra weights, to be increased by 5 pounds each week. Yakumo initially complained but relented when Anko and Naruto informed her that this would correct her chakra and speed issues. She gasped, stunned, as Naruto revealed that he and Anko were also wearing chakra weights, committed to ongoing physical training despite their strength. Naruto's weighed 500 pounds, while Anko's were 300. A mission for the Takebutsu Brigade. Anko, Naruto, and Yakumo stepped into the Hokage's office, finding the elderly leader and his clone sifting through mission scrolls. "Morning, Jiji. Long time no see," Naruto greeted warmly. The Hokage looked up, a smile spreading across his face for his surrogate grandson. "Good morning, Naruto-kun, Anko, Yakumo-chan. Here for a mission, I presume," the Hokage asked, already anticipating their arrival. This was precisely why he was personally reviewing requests, aiming to find the ideal assignment for them. "Precisely, Hokage-sama. As team leader of the Takebutsu Brigade, I, Mitrishi Anko, formally request a C or B rank mission to kick things off with my team," Anko stated with a formality that brought a smirk to the edge. It seemed her time with Naruto and Yakumo had mellowed her slightly. I expected as much, so I have the perfect mission for your group. Since this is your first, you're tasked with taking down a bandit group camping near the border of the Fire and Tea countries. The Tea Daimyo specifically requested a team to handle this problem," the Hokage explained, handing a mission scroll to Anko, who accepted and began reading its contents. "Do we have any additional intel on this bandit group, Hokage-sama?" Anko inquired, noting the scarcity of information in the mission parameters. "I have no concrete evidence, but rumors suggest an organized bandit group calling themselves Bloody Rose is operating there. They primarily target affluent merchants traveling between Tea and Fire country, causing significant trouble for businesses in both nations. Your orders are to investigate this group, plan an assault, and eliminate them. You have 2 weeks. The sooner you complete this, the better. This is classified as a C rank mission, but it could escalate to B or even A rank if you encounter missing nins, so exercise caution," the Hokage warned, mindful that this was the group's inaugural mission and only Anko possessed significant shinobi experience. "You have nothing to worry about, Hokage-sama. Both Naruto and Yakumo are highly capable. Our 2-week training program yielded excellent results in their teamwork and individual skills, so they'll handle this mission with ease," Anko declared, causing Naruto and Yakumo to straighten with pride at their team leader's praise. The Hokage beamed at them all. "Of course, Anko. From the reports you submitted during your training, I can see this mission will likely be straightforward for the Takebutsu Brigade. However, I want all of you to be careful. Missions often change in difficulty due to various factors, so keep your skills sharp and your minds even sharper. I want you all to return home safe and sound," the Hokage said in a serious, no-nonsense tone. Anko nodded, turning to her team, who were visibly excited about the mission. "All right, team. We have our orders. Time is of the essence. Naruto, I want you to teleport us back to your house so we can resupply, then take us to the East Gate," Anko commanded. Naruto nodded, glancing at his smiling surrogate grandfather. "See you later, Jiji. Wish us luck," Naruto said with a wide grin, then grabbed his teammates and teleported out of the office, embarking on their very first mission. Preparations and departure. It didn't take long for the Takebutsu Brigade to gather essential supplies for their initial mission. They focused on items Naruto couldn't conjure on the fly, such as blood pills, chakra pills, food, and first aid kits. Naruto handed them a pre-prepared scroll containing 50 shurikens, 50 kunao, 100 senbon, and 10 explosive tags from his personal armory. He assured them he could create more if needed, instructing them not to be frugal in their use. Anko grinned, promising her adopted brother she'd gladly use every single one if the situation called for it. Naruto merely rolled his eyes at his adopted sister's bloodlust. Once preparations were complete, Naruto teleported the group to an alley near the East Gate, opting to keep his abilities discreet for now to avoid causing his Jiji any trouble. They then walked to the gate, where Anko handled the necessary mission registration with the guards. Journey to Tea Country. "All right, team. Here's the plan. Instead of just flying there to speed things up, we're going to treat this as a training mission, given our time frame," Anko explained, turning to Yakumo. "We'll run at full speed toward Tea Country. When you tire, Naruto will take over. Once you regain your energy, we'll resume sprinting. With the weights on, this will boost your speed, strength, and chakra reserves by the time we arrive." Understood. A chorus of yes from the two confirmed their understanding. Everyone channeled chakra to their feet and sprinted towards tea country. Despite Yakumo's initial lack of stamina, it took 2 hours before she was too exhausted to continue. Naruto then took over, casting his invisibility spell over them and levitating them towards tea country. He stuck to the main road to avoid getting lost. An hour later, Yakumo announced she was ready for another round of running, so Naruto landed, dispelled the spell, and they continued forward on foot, relying solely on their legs and chakra. They were halfway to their destination when night fell, prompting the team to make camp. Naruto proved useful by creating 2 tents, one for himself and another for Anko and Yakumo to share. Naruto cooked dinner, having brought ample supplies, knowing Anko's aversion to ration bars. After dinner, they decided on Yakumo taking the first watch, followed by Naruto, then Anko, ensuring readiness for any potential nighttime attacks. Arrival and initial intel gathering. It took them 3 days to reach the capital of Tea Country. Despite the slight delay, Naruto and Anko noticed a significant improvement in Yakumo upon entering the gates. She could now maintain a full sprint for 4 hours before tiring. By the time they reached the tea capital, her weights were already at 15 pounds each. Naruto and Anko marveled at her sudden increase in stamina. Yakumo explained that her apprenticeship under Tsunade had enabled her to boost her healing rate through exceptional chakra control. Before commencing their information gathering on the bandit group, Anko decided to visit the tea daimyo, hoping for additional intelligence. It didn't take long for the guards at the gate to summon a detachment of samurai from the daimyo residence to escort the group to meet their leader. Much to their disappointment, the tea daimyo provided no new information, though there were rumors among the citizens that the bandits were becoming increasingly aggressive in their raids and attacks. Just last week, a fishing village on the tea country coast was raided, resulting in some deaths. Specifically, the 2 samurai guards stationed there and extensive property damage. Food, jewelry, money, and important documents were stolen by the bandits, leaving the villagers destitute. They left the daimyo residence an hour later after finalizing the mission parameters with the tea country leader. They decided to rest for the night and proceed with their information gathering tomorrow at first light. They booked 2 hotel rooms and retired early. Debriefing and planning. The next day was dedicated to gathering information from the citizens. Anko, Naruto, and Yakumo separated after breakfast, donning disguises to blend in with the populace. All 3 agreed to reconvene in their hotel rooms around lunchtime for a debriefing. The Takebutsu Brigade held their debriefing in Naruto's room after enjoying a satisfying lunch at a restaurant adjacent to the hotel. As usual, Anko initiated the sharing of information. I didn't get a lot of information, but it seems the bandit group started about 3 months ago. They began small, robbing minor merchants traveling the roads between Tea and Fire Country. However, it was only a month ago that they became more aggressive. According to an old merchant in town, the bandit group seems to have a new leader and has recruited smaller bandit groups in the area, causing their numbers to swell, Anko reported. Naruto frowned at this news. Any idea how large the group is, Anko-nichan? Naruto asked. I didn't get an exact count, but it should be around 200 to 300 bandits, Anko replied. I also spoke with a merchant. He was lucky to survive the attack, but all his goods were stolen. He reported that the bandits attacked in the middle of the day. It seems they have some shinobi among them, as he told me his carriage was hit by a large fireball that obliterated it in one hit. Yakumo shared, reading from a notepad, which made Naruto and Anko sweat drop. Based on the size of the fireball, I'd say the shinobi who created it should be high genin to mid genin in strength. If the coach was destroyed in one blast, I'd assume the latter, Anko mused, then frowned. The mission just got an upgrade. If there are bandits with shinobi training among them, it's safe to assume they're missing nins. Depending on their actual numbers, this mission could become A rank. So this means we need to scout the area, locate their camp, and infiltrate to determine their exact numbers and strength. It wouldn't be wise to just barge in without a plan, especially if they have missing nins in their ranks, Naruto stated, already formulating a plan to pinpoint the bandit camp's location. Do you have any ideas on how to find their camp, Naru-chan? Anko asked her adopted brother sweetly, who gave her a pointed look. How many times do I have to tell you not to call me that? Naruto grumbled. He truly detested such a childish nickname. Anko grinned. I don't know. I lost count after 100. Ku, Anko said with a smirk. Naruto gave her a look of disgust. That's so disturbing, Naruto said, giving her a mock glare. I know. That's why I do it. Ku. Before Naruto could retort again, Yakumo interjected. Plan now, play later, Yakumo said firmly. Both immediately ceased their bickering, unwilling to endure another of Yakumo's horrifying illusions. She'd subjected them to one once when their squabbling grated on her nerves during a training session. She'd placed Naruto under an illusion where he was relentlessly chased by a colossal, terrifying demon without his weapons or abilities, while Anko suffered a harsh illusion where all her favorite dango stands in Konoha burned to the ground. They instantly learned their lesson then and their never anger Yakumo, for the sake of their mental well-being. Naruto coughed, suppressing a shiver as he recalled the mental torment. Anyway, I have a simple plan to search for the bandit camp. I can create many clones, place them under my invisibility spell, and command them to fly across all of T-Country in a pattern. If they find the camp, they can dispel to relay the information to me. Naruto outlined his plan to the two. Anko nodded. Can you create that many clones? How long would they last, given T-Country's size? She asked the blonde genin. I can create a total of 300 overcharged clones without Kyuubi's chakra, so I think that would be enough. I need to pump them with a lot of chakra since flying and invisibility take a lot of energy, plus some extras so they can last longer than normal, Naruto answered. Why not use Kyuubi's chakra for a boost? Yakumo asked. The Hokage had already briefed her about Naruto's tenet, and she'd accepted it without issue. After all, she had her own inner demon sealed within her, making it hypocritical to judge her teammate. I don't want to use my tenant's chakra because that would alert potential shinobi spies in the area. I'll definitely get tired using my own, but I'm positive Yakumo-chan can patch me up with her medical jutsu, Naruto replied confidently, knowing his teammate was a well-trained medic. Yakumo smiled at Naruto's confidence in her abilities. Good thing I packed a lot of chakra pills then. One pill wouldn't be enough to replenish your reserves, Naruto-kun, Yakumo said, pulling out her medical pouch and counting the pills she brought. Anko nodded as she added the finishing touches to the plan. Okay, let's stick with the plan then. After this debriefing, Naruto will exit the capital, go into the forest, create his clones, then teleport back here. Yakumo, you'll patch Naruto up when he returns. He needs to remain conscious until one of his clones dispels so he can immediately retrieve the memory without having to dig for it. I'll go out to mingle with the population to see if I can gather more intel to aid our mission. Naruto and Yakumo nodded, ready to begin the mission.